Thanks for life, Almighty God. Thanks for life. Your hands I submit my.
Today, our foreparents, Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped was us singing and us dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people.
Struggles and fight, I smile, everything is alright. I say, thanks for life, Almighty God. Thanks for life. Your hands I submit my.
Today, our foreparents, Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped was us singing and us dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people.
Struggles and fight, I smile, everything is alright. I say, thanks for life, Almighty God. Thanks for life. Your hands I submit my.
Today, our foreparents, Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped was us singing and us dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people.
Struggles and fight, I smile, everything is alright. I say, thanks for life, Almighty God. Thanks for life.
Today, our foreparents, as Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped was us singing and us dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people. Today, our foreparents, as Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped was us singing and us dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people. Today, our foreparents.
That's why. That is why. And the Grandmaster himself is here today to talk to us. Thank you guys for waiting. I know all you were waiting to hear and to see us, but we were giving you all enough time to ensure that you watch your news and everything, and that all you get to relax and chill, so that when Grandmaster Peters comes on, you could ask your question as well, throw it in the comments, and we take things from there. But I'm going to talk with him today. You understand? First time I'm meeting him, I understand he has been around doing things in Grenada for donkey years, a long, long time. So I'm going to chat with him today, and if all you have questions, throw it in the comment section. So we're going to get to find out about this, how you call it, this icon, this theater genius that in Grenada, and doing so much magic from since we're a good child. All you know about that? If you've never been to theater, well, something wrong with you. If you don't know about drama, then something wrong with you. And if you've never watched a play per se in Grenada, then something wrong with you. No, it doesn't mean you're sick, Anyway, guys, I always say don't time, because I want to talk to this Grandmaster tonight and make sure that you get to hear and see some of the magic that he has been doing in Grenada. This is how we do it here at C.R. Williams Performing Arts Academy, and we go straight ahead. I know he's in the back there and he's listening and he's ready. Brother, make sure your camera is on, make sure your mic is ready, because I'm going to invite you to join me now. Remember, you're the one talking, and I just here to listen to and mind your business. No, I can't say that. I is a fast person. I was about to say. So stand by, brother. I'm bringing you on screen with me right now, and you go come on to join me and talk to the people out there. All right, you see? Guess who's here?
Yes, welcome. I can see you clearly, Roger.
Can you see me?
Hope that our connection is good. Yes, very much so, sir.
Right. Great. It's really good to have you. And I don't know where you're from, so I'm going to make you say that first, and then we're going to start to talk so that you can greet your people, say where you're from, because that's how I started, and we go into the deeper depths of the thing. So I guess you're from St. David, so go ahead.
Well, Roger, I was born in Lagoon Road, Belmont, St. George's, now known as the Kirani James Boulevard, many years ago. But I always like to give and to acknowledge my mother and my father. My mother, Angela, was born on the island of St. Lucia in a place called Gruzile, the north, I think the north of the island. She came to Grenada in 1947. I was born 10 years after. My father is from Marquis, St. Andrew, of course, was born close to the sea also. That's my father. And I spent my early childhood life in Lagoon Road, Belmont, St. George's, right after, very close to the Port Louis Marina, right there. When I was 9.5 or 9 years and 8 months, I was sent to live with an old aunt in St. Andrew. That was in Marquis, to be exact. And it was so that I claim I said that in Lagoon Road in St. George's, I learned to swim. When I went to live in Marquis, I learned the river and I learned the bush and the forest. So now I am connected more to Mother Earth and the greenery rather than the sea.
I like how you put it. You like the bush, but I kind of vexed with you. I thought you were from St. David, man. I kind of disappointed.
I'm midway, but I have relatives in St. David's too.
Well, right, son. You must have some string. You must have some St. David's string. Yeah.
Yes.
You understand?
Oh yes.
So,
and that's
but
why,
you know
that's
the best
why
parish,
you see
the best parish is St. David, not so?
Well, I can't deny that because the Prime Minister from St. David's. I see you had the Carnival Queen from St. David's, the Calypso Monarch from St. David, the Junior Calypso Monarch from St. David, from St. David. So I say right now, with so many trophies and so many accolades, and Davis can no longer be called Virgin Parish. Too many things on St. David. Yes.
You see a smart man, that first person that come on the show and recognize that they are good thing in St. David's. Eh? All the others only get licks. You understand?
And look at one of my leading actresses is Kathy Ann James from St. David's.
Oh,
so if I go and say anything, yes, if I go and say anything otherwise, Kathy Ann might boycott me. So I have to join it.
There we go. All right. So, and the next nice thing now is that in your time you had primary school.
Oh yes. As a matter of fact, well, I started my primary school journey at, I think, the St. George's Anglican School. We used to call it Back Street. And what is very interesting is I cannot remember much of my primary school days at Back Street. I'm not sure whether I spent 1 term, 1 year there. There's some part of my early childhood which has been erased. However, I went to primary school in St. Giles Anglican School. That's in Mount Carmel, not too far from Marquis, Montfort area where I grew up. And I think I started in 1967. That was the same year when Eric Masugeri won a landslide victory at the polls. So I claim St. Giles for my early upbringing and for my grooming and appreciation for literature. And it was there during that time when people like Crofton Maguire, who came to our school every Friday to teach us folk songs. They also had an artist like Sir John Benjamin. So all I know is that whenever Mr. Crofton Maguire did not come at a Friday that he could make it, I was depressed. But my whole day was spoiled. So I have to give a lot of credit to St. Giles. So we did have primary school in that time.
And you used to give a lot of trouble in primary school.
No, I was Roger. I was a good young man. I was a saint. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I was a Roman Catholic at that time, and I remember the time when I had to go for confession. My old aunt, who I grew up with, you could not argue with her. She said, "Okay, it's time to go to confession." And I could remember going to confession. I had to lie to make confession. I would say, "Okay, I fell to me and an old lady. I thieved the bakes. I thieved some," but that wasn't true. So as a matter of fact, I got the most courteous boy because Eric Matthew Gary, I think there was courtesy week, and the most courteous students from each school were selected, and then you had to go to meet Eric Matthew Gary down at Mount Royal, and then you got a gift, you got a present, you got refreshments. So that, I think, was 68 or thereabouts. I was voted as the most courteous boy in St. Giles. So I was a well-behaved. Yes, I was a well-behaved boy.
Oh man,
I was well-behaved. No.
Okay, I go find out where you give trouble. I go find out where
I was very polite. And up to now, Roger, I pass, because of my upbringing and my personality, up to now, strangers, if I pass, I will have to say good afternoon, hello, how are you, how are you doing? I walk through town, I walk through my entire neighborhood. I have that connection with every single person in my community. So I guess maybe I got that from my mother.
Oh, good. So now that you jump from, but they say you're a country boy. In them days,
Yes.
you all invented country and tongue thing, because I know we grew up here in country, bookie and tongue, whatever, right?
Well, the thing is, my father was from Marquis, so even though I was born in Laguna Road, St. George's, every August holiday, he took us, the entire family, and he was a shipwright, a carpenter. And every August holiday, we had to spend that time up in the country. I mean, I was a child still, but all the people who worked with him, they had to come up to his lands in Marquis, where they picked cocoa, they harvested sugar cane, they burn coals, a lot of activity. And then that's where all my relatives also from, Marquis, Montfan, Mont Camel, a little part of Post Royal, you know. So the country has been part of me for a very, very, very long time. And then when I came up and started residing permanently in 1967, then I guess walking barefoot and touching the mud and bathing in the rain and the river, I know I was christened. I was christened a country boy. So yeah, I mean, up to there, Roger. I mean, I have they cutting the bush in the yard, using the weed eater, using the cutlass, cut my neighbor's yard. I mean, there's something about that connection which I had. And up to now, if I'm driving or if I'm going to another country and I see bush by the side of the road, something click inside of me. Well, but I just feel as though I need to go and cut it. I need to go and cut it. Because as a little boy growing up, my aunt says, Roger, you could not have not been doing anything. So I always had to be doing something. So cutting the yard, and when she said you had to cut the yard with the cutlass in those days, you have to go down by the road and you have to cut that side of the road that your property was adjacent to. So that's how I grew up. So I thought it was hard and tough during that time, but I am now realizing that it was preparing me for life. For life. I like the bush. I love it.
Wow, excellent, man. What? That's some hard work in them days, but I would have run and hide.
Yeah, boy and Roger, because it was she alone, and I will tell you, I was small in stature. And when you cut in, I was a right-hander, and you could not stop working. And when my right hand got tired, and I changed to using my left hand. So right now, I could use my left hand to cut trees, to cut glass, just as good as my right hand. I could pelt a stone with my left hand because of that tough upbringing with my aunt, what's called Auntie Baby. But I'm happy looking back at it now. I realize it was prepare me for survival. Because when I was going through it, I thought it was the worst experience because leaving a family, was 10 of us in Lagoon Road, 10 of us, and then I was rooted out from that close family unit and then went to live with an Auntie Baby. She had no children. She was very, very, very strict. Yes, apart from school, when I came home now, you couldn't interact. I could interact with the next door neighbor, but if the children were playing cricket down the road, you couldn't go. When my cousins were going to hold crab, and the night time I couldn't go to fly kites. By 6 o'clock, you have to be inside, inside, So that was the life I lived until I went to GBSS later on.
Yeah, man. Oh, well, you jump right into the fire now. GBSS, the best school on the island.
Yes.
That's all.
It sounds as though you went to GBSS. It sounds as though you went to GBSS also, Roger. I'm not sure.
Amen. Well, I mean, I couldn't go anywhere else. It had no other school. Just GBSS.
Well, the thing is, I went to GBSS because by that time my family was back in St. George's, so automatically my bigger brother, the one who was 1 year older, he went to GBSS. So I followed that trail, But I guess the kind of person as I am as an adult, I consider myself to embrace all the schools. I'm not I guess I went to GBSS. I give whatever support that I can, But I like to know that I have a connection. I sometimes go across from time to time to J.W. Fletcher, also to South St. George primary school. I try to connect with them. So as a cultural ambassador, they say that you have to be as open as possible. Yes.
I hear you. I hear
Yes.
you. You hear me? You
Yes.
hear me?
And,
Well, yeah,
uh,
but I say in my time when I went to school, GBSS was the school. I mean, I just
yes.
rewinding. It's like there was no other school but GBSS. Not so in my time. And I know you came before me, so
Oh yeah, I came to GBS a long time. I think I started GBS in 1971 and may have left in 1976 or thereabouts. I mean, a lot of years. You're talking about over almost
so and
over
that's
50
when you got all
years.
the licks in school and thing, the flogging. I came after
Not
that.
in, no, I never got flogged in GBSS. I got flogged in primary school twice in primary school. Once when I couldn't understand a maths sum, or there's a sum you call it. You have to do
Problem
a
was
problem.
yeah.
I was hopeless as maths, and then you had to go in front of the blackboard and try to work out that problem, and I couldn't understand, and I got flogged, and more flogged, and I get my head started to spin because maths was never my strong subject up to this point. Yeah, so I was fortunate not to get any kid in GBSS because I was always a good behaved student, very honest student, quiet and calm.
What? You pass your GBSS like an angel? No, man, well, you're good.
I passed,
You
yes.
must
I
be a
passed you
real
like an
good
angel.
man.
Yeah. That's why up to this day, sometimes people ask me, so you're a priest, you're a pastor? Oh yes, I have several people. Once I was having a discussion with some folks on the car, and I some guys, I can't even remember the subject area, and then the guy was saying, well, minister, this is my view. I said, no, I'm not a minister. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm not a regular church goer, but he perceived me to be a minister. So no, I pick up people on the road on the car, and they will, without asking them a question, they'll just open up to me. And there's some things, which I've learned that I cannot cite because it can be criminally incriminating based on some of the information that they will just open and share and share with me. So I remember coming from Barbados many years ago, and this young lady came sat there to me. She was from St. Vincent, and she was telling me she just came from her mother's funeral. The mother lived in Barbados for a long time, and she said, "Well, so, I didn't know my mother. We thought she was poor, but my mother has so much money and so much money in the bank. She just opened." So maybe if I was a con man, a con artist, I've befriended her, and then we look at the St. Vincent. But it's a nice feeling, Roger.
Yes,
I think
yes.
it's a sort of spiritual thing. The same thing happens with children. I embraced kids. I remember the last time we went to Victoria to do the play. I saw a mother. It was three. She had three children and one on her shoulder. And I opened my arms. The child came to me. I started playing with her. We went walking up and down. And then when time for the play to start, I want to give the child back to her mother. She grabbed onto me. Yeah, she just grabbed onto Uncle You, and she was about just all over. Yeah.
What?
So I guess children they can redeem the spirit, But I was a good behaved guy. I tried my best.
Well, you make it through. You make it through. So
yes.
So because of the good behavior that you had, that means you did other good things in GBSS. What were you all exposed to? Like the arts, because I know you're in the field and we get in there. But was there anything like that in your time? The arts, drama?
Yes. Roger, the interesting thing is I believe that the arts found me. I didn't find the arts. The art came looking for me. Because in GBSS, yes, I think there was a drama group. I believe so, yes. There was a debating society. There were several clubs, but I never had any interest in drama in theater. Never. I was too shy to attempt debating. I was at all. Those guys were debating. I know I was fairly good in English language. Literature was not that bad. I liked history, but that was all I was ever good at. But in terms they had a calypso competition once. Okay, I played the quattro, and I came first. I won the calypso competition playing the ukulele there. So that was the only thing culturally I took part in. But in my days of GBSS, I tried a little of everything. Because the auditorium was filled. There was not all this amount of chairs as you see in the auditorium right now. Break time, you played table tennis. Lunchtime, you played table tennis. The time when they had badminton. So I love sports, but I was maybe one of the best mediocre sportsmen at that time. My favorite subject was games, so I enjoyed cricket. I had to play for GBSS one single cricket match. I think it was a limited overs, one match. I wasn't that good at football. I ran fairly well on the road because the very first year I went to GBSS, I ran cross country. I came 13th. Of course, I was running the lower division because you started off first. The second year, maybe I was a junior and I came 23rd. And the next year now, which maybe a junior or close to, I wasn't a senior at that time, I came out in 113th or something like that, you know. But I was always good. I'm good on the road, but never good enough to run for my house in the GBSS sports or even intercall. So I just love playing. Yeah, but I just enjoy sports. Even when they had the problem, the 1973, 74, the unrest, and I went to school, but there was no school. Me and my brother, we just enjoyed playing cricket on our own in Tanti. I enjoyed that. I was never a person who was an academic person at all. In primary school, yes, I think I was in the first and the top 10. But when I went to secondary school, it was hard. There's something in me which it was hard. I think my learning style maybe was by doing, but to retain things and even like Shakespeare and trying to remember some of these quotes, it just couldn't stick. History, I liked it. I couldn't remember dates. So I realized I had to be a person who had to do and feel and to smell the subject in order for me to understand it. Because I say maths was my weakest subject, but when I left school, I know I jumped ahead, and I went to work at Hubbard's in 1978, my first full-time job in a lumberyard as a clerk. And of course, you had to learn about the measurement, the foot of lumber. But because the lumber was there in my face, it was a 2x4, 1x2. I smelled it, I touched it, I pulled it. It was able for me to calculate and to work it out well. And I think I did well there. But in school, no, maths was not there. Learning of foreigners. We had the French club. I was in the French club. Only thing I can remember from the French club was a song, because the teacher who was heading the French club was a man called Monsieur Foubert. I think he was from Quebec, a French Canadian. All I learned was a song called Alouette, Jeti Alouette. This beautiful girl who the Native Indians used to sing, when they on the canoe when they're going up the river. Alouette, Jeti Alouette, Alouette, Jeti plumere la tête. Jeti plumere la tête, et la tête. Frenchie, you're supposed to know what's the meaning of that. So I learned to me by
yes. Man. Everybody who doing French has to learn the basics of that. Yes.
Oh, okay. So and again too in the and I think in pre-primary school, I went to the hall school, and that's how I learned my tables, my twice sample by singing the tables. So I think again, if you're coming back to maybe to drama in education, as you know that the importance of it, I learned through the arts. That's how I learned, and that's how I understand even my 11-year-old granddaughter, who's able to set me up here. She learns the same way by doing. Nala learns by doing. At one time when they say that she was having a problem with spelling words, she will come by me and I take her the words, print them out on a piece of Bristol board. So if she has to learn the word close, I close the cupboard door and I put close on it. And I open the cupboard door and open. And she just made a connection and that was it. Yes.
That you do. Action based. I like that.
Yes. I can understand if you speak to me. Yeah, man. So that's so. But I will tell you that my time in the country, though, as I said, I thought it was the toughest experience for me. Because why did they have to choose me of all my mother's and father's children to come and live with Auntie Baby, who was a tough person, hardest person to please. I mean, she was well respected in her community, but she was a tough person. You had to go to Namsa Garden, especially when the nutmeg and the cocoa was opening. So all 2 days you missed out on school. You started go to school at the garden at 8 o'clock and come back at 2 3 o'clock. For 2 3 days harvesting the cocoa. And as I say, I was a small little cocoa on your head, and when they reached down your next, if you can't move, it was this. I mean, you spend the whole day digging yam, and it was a challenge for me a lot of times where you don't want to break the yam, so I spent my whole 2 hours digging, trying to get one yam out. Climbed the nutmeg tree when nutmeg was in season. Bounce up my bone, you bounce up serpent, and You tie the sheep sometime again. We had a lot of sheep, and occasionally one of the sheep will get herself strangled, and when you go back home, boy, it's cuss. She never hit me, but the verbal attack, it was a tough one. But as I said, I think it was a country that actually prepared me. Now that I'm looking back, I don't think if I didn't have that country upbringing, I don't think I would have been this balanced person and complete person in the arts, because I went to the prayer meetings as a child with my aunt, and in fact my wife Anne, her grandmother, Miss Doy, was the prayer leader. So just they used to leave all Pleasance is about 3-4 miles from Marquis, and come down to our house to do the prayer meeting. So there as a young boy, and when they were singing the French Creole songs, and Shandi Leklewe oh, Shandi Leklewe oh, Shandi Leklewe oh, yeah. You learn that with a lighted candle, they went to every room and they got the bread and the water and opened all the doors, for the spirit to pass. I grew up in that. And then you learn some of the songs. So you learn a lot of these cultural forms. Again, I was not able to go out at night, but then around the carnival time, when you hear the jab, and automatically you felt something in your head, and then your knee bend and the waist started to move, and you know in the house there. And then I heard the shotney around the carnival time. You see these shotney chants, Mama treating with afraid. So that's what the country really groomed me for that. And I was exposed more though. But before I went to the country, there were 2 Shango priestesses. My good friend Bosco Samuel, who was my next door neighbor, and his grandmother, Miss Baby Luth, she had Shango dances sometimes. That's close to where I lived. And then where I think it's Always gas station is right now, there was also a Shango priestess called Miss Perlin there. And I was always fascinated by the rituals and the drums, and to see when they start to dance, and these little men will take, or the woman will take these strong men and put them on the shoulders, and I was always intrigued. There was something about the drums. There was also a pan house, which was just maybe about 30 meters away from our home. But my mother was a Christian woman, and you couldn't go into the pan house, but you heard the pan playing you stood at the entrance, you know. So looking back, I think all of those early experiences actually prepared me and groomed me. As a child in the country, I couldn't say I couldn't play on afternoons with friends, except for my next door neighbor, and I found myself a bit isolated. So I started doing a lot of reading at a young age. And I remember reading books like Pride and Prejudice, which to me was way beyond my age group, but I understood that I was able to even do my own little analysis. So that was my natural preparation for the field that I'm in right now.
I got you. You hear that?
Yeah,
Deep, man. Opportunities. I love it. I love it.
Yes.
I love
it.
And
I almost must say though that my father, Collins, also always told us stories. He was a man who will tell us stories about Laja Bless, about Compesai, Competig. And he also played the quattro. And when I went to live in Antibaby, there was an old man next door across the river called Mr. James. And he used to come across and teach me to play the quattro. In fact, one Christmas, my aunt gave me a toy quattro 4-string. Open, I have to get a hot iron, heat it on coals, and then pass it around the edge of the place where it was broken, and then seal it back down and tie it up. and then eventually, so those were, but I was not even 12 as yet. So they used to call me Quattro Man. And I believe maybe I was possibly one of the very few students who could have played a musical instrument in my time there growing up. So it was really nursery. And then, so my father was married twice. His first wife, I think, had 10 children, so which means I had 10 siblings from his side of the family. They were older, much older than me. Some of them were old enough to be my mother and father. And then my mother, on the other hand, had 11 children. So between us was 21 of us. And that's one who has turned out to be a storyteller. You know, my father told all of us stories. So I think it seems like there's this thing called writing and storytelling. You know, it's a special, it's a special skill. I have my brothers a couple of brothers who write there. And one's a novelist, and the other one's an analyst and writes a lot of poems and composes. But I'm the only one who, maybe from my father's early influence, who decided to take a lot of his stories and to tell them. You know, so I just think it's that early exposure. And again, he's from the country, yeah, countryman.
Mm-hmm.
My dear father, Papa. Yeah.
Tell the stories, man. Great. So with
yeah.
that, that's why we see now why you're so deep into the thing. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
Are you getting it? The
Yeah.
exposed. I see me. You have a lady that always come in and harass me each time we have in the show. Joan, Miss Charles, I'm glad you're there. Good evening. You see, she say good evening.
Yes.
Bet you didn't know Uncle.
Yes.
If you don't know Uncle Urias, something wrong with you, Joan. Right. Good night. Right. She like to harass me too much. I'll deal with that tonight. Good. All right. Good. So, but now, in this all the time, you say I meet you in the arts, and you've done a lot for Grenada. But tell us about the journey into drama, because I know you walked the path from GBSS to Jamaica and so on. Don't skip that part. Let me give us some info on that journey.
Yeah, so as I said, I did not have much involvement in the arts and theatre in GBSS whatsoever. However, I was a member, as a teenager, I was a member of the Berean Bible Church in Grenada. And that religious organization was formed and influenced by American missionaries who came to Grenada, I think, in 1950s or thereabout, and set up these those churches. But one of the things that they brought with them was drama and the music. I was in the choir, especially when I was a member of the Berean Bible Church in Grenadian. I mean, choir practice was boring for me because up to this day it's very hard for me to sit still. But I enjoyed, and I remember we always did a Easter cantata, which is musical concert. And around the Christmas time, we also did a Christmas cantata and sometimes a Christmas play. And these plays also had set during the biblical times. And I was involved in those plays. But when I became president of the youth department, I remember trying out my hand to write a skit. And I think I called the skit 50 Years into the Future. I don't even think I had the script now. But if I want to look back at the script, I think I'm going to be embarrassed because it was total nonsense. But people enjoyed it. People really enjoyed it. Because you never had anything that was local at that time. But then I remember in 1983, that's what afterwards I was married. First was married in 1982. So in 1983, we had the Easter cantata that was staged in GBSS. But prior to just before that, my choir director, Mr. Lennox St. Louis, he says, Urias, they call me UU, that's my nickname. Why not consider writing a play? So we'll have both the play and the cantata, because people are saying that just the music alone can be a bit boring. And for some reason, I took up the challenge, and then I started to do a research on the persecution of the early Christians, because it was said Easter is surrounding the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Christ. So I did some research on the persecution of the early Christians around AD 64, when I found out that Nero, is a crazy emperor at that time, burned down the entire Rome. And then he blamed it afterwards on the Christian, and there was mass persecution around that time. So I wrote, I think it's a one-act play. It wouldn't be more than an hour, called The Unshakable Faith. It was set during that period of time. And after the play was staged together with the cantata, people were so impressed. That was the very first play that I wrote, and it's the first play that I wrote that people had to pay to come to see. So the journey started, I would say, 1983. That's exactly 40 years ago. And after that, we are encouraged to at least to form a theater company, and we call it the Christian Dramatic Society. And it was 1983. The Christian Dramatic Society was formed. I was the artistic director. I had no formal training in theater, no formal training in playwriting, but I went to the Mary Show Marisha House Library, and I believe every book that dealt with theater, maybe up to now, I read those books to get some hands-on knowledge. And we started our production at the Marisha Folk Theatre. I really have to be thankful for Marisha Folk Theatre. That is where, as people say, we must be teeth. Very thankful to Mrs. Beverly Steele, who has passed on. Very thankful to Claudia Halley, who was the secretary at that time. Claudia supported us. In those days you wrote freehand, pen and paper. They had to give it to Claudia, and then she typed it. So we did our plays in 1983. But even at that point in time, because I was a Burian, but I tried to make it the theater company more inclusive. So I brought people from the Open Bible Church, people from the New Testament Church of God, the Burians, because that was the person, my nature. I like to include others. And say here, that is where my journey started, right? 83, and at the Marisha Folk Theatre. However, I must say too that in 1978, that's my first full-time job, I became a clerk at the lumber department, Jonas Brown and Hubbard's, right on the Carnage. So I started as a clerk, and then again, I got a promotion to be the cashier. And while I found myself, when there was a very quiet period, I had this notebook and all ideas that came about. I was writing ideas for plays and writing scripts, during my period as a cashier. But I say I had no formal training, but I think the natural calling to be a playwright was born, and I found myself just dreaming. I had no formal training, as I said. And 83 was that was the important year for me. And then 84, of course, was when I went to Jamaica.
So you're moving in the heat of the revo, you mean? Yeah.
No, well, after 83 October, the revo came to an end, and then in 1984, the Organization of American States, the OAS, they had fellowships in 1984, and I was recommended by Miss Beverly Steele for one of those fellowships to go to study drama. We call it the Cultural Training Center in those days. It was not known as Edna Manley as yet.
Yep.
And so Mrs. Steele submitted my name, and then they wanted to reject it because I was a clerk, a cashier at the lumber department. Why will you be giving this guy a fellowship or a scholarship to go and study drama and theater? And she had to tell him, no, well, he is involved in the theater, and you will find that's the norm in Grenada, that nobody's full-time in theater. People had a different vocations. And I think they were also looking for people who also were in the school system. So Mr. Steele had to plead my case, and that's how I eventually got through to get the fellowship to go to Jamaica. But maybe hadn't it not been for her, I don't think that I will have been selected. So 1984 was the time, and it was a tough decision, because I got married in 1982 as a fresh 25-year-old young man in the church, and 10 months after a son was born, as my son Jeremy was born. And so in 1984, when I was accepted to study, he was 9 months old. And how are you leaving a young wife, a 9-month-old baby, a child to leave to go to Jamaica? It was a heart-wrenching decision. It was confusion. Am I making the right decision? It was very, 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 very hard. But I went and asked a colleague who also was a pastor at that time, and what should I do? And I remember he told me, they didn't try to answer the question for me. He said, listen, whatever decision you make in life, you have to be prepared to stand the consequences, whether it's positive or negative. And I pondered and I said, boy, I do not see myself being a cashier or a clerk for the rest of my life. That is not my calling. And so I made a decision. I'm going to accept the fellowship. Pack my bags, go to the plane, and I think it was in June, July, or thereabout of 1985, I headed to Jamaica to study drama. And that was the second chapter of my life there. I don't know if you want me to continue that from there or any other question before I
I
start
want to
giving you.
tease you there now. So you gone and
Yes,
you leave wife, you quarreling. All right, I get it. I get it.
yeah, but in fact, she didn't quarrel, but you could see that there was a lot of questions. How will they make it? Because I wasn't going there to work. Yes, she was working. She had this to have the responsibility of um, taking care of a 9-month-old boy child. I know I could have seen the troubled look on her face, and I'd never felt so guilty in my entire life. So as I say, it was a tough decision, leaving to say goodbye.
Yeah, but I hear you could hide that part. You could hide that part.
Yes. Oh yes.
You could hide that part. So let me do what they do. So she never tell you come back home. Yeah?
No, but when I arrived in
I put
Jamaica,
you in trouble.
and I still think no, I can speak freely. When I went to Jamaica, I got depressed. I think I suffer from anxiety, and I realized, oh, my wife is out there, I'm a child. What the hell am I doing here? And I was praying for something to happen so that I could come back to Grenada. That this course is going to have to be cancelled. And I remember at one time there was a hike in the gas price, and people were putting tires in the road and light catching them afire, and there was traffic roadblock. And I says, yes, thank you, Jesus, thank you, God. Now it's time. Jamaica is going to go up in flames and chaos. It's time for this will be the opportunity for me to go back home. But things quieted down soon after that. I realized now, I believe that I'm stuck here. I have to battle it through. So when I arrived in Jamaica, as I said, it was an OAS fellowship. But I had the fortunate experience of having associates. It was 6 of us who lived in this huge house. My good friend, up to this day, one of my closest friends, Crichton Pension, he's from St. Kitts. He was there to study theatre arts like myself. There was another colleague from St. Kitts, but he was at cast. He doesn't study drama. Jeff, and you also had Nigel Francis, who's from the island of Dominica. Nigel came to study theatre arts. And you had two others, another one from Daryl Phillip from Dominica to study dance, and Leroy Lane from St. Vincent. So it was a nice bond that we developed. But I think I'll always give thanks to my colleague Crichton. We were very, very, very close friends, and I'm not too sure if he had not been around. I wasn't sure if I would have been that successful at the drama school. We studied together, we compared notes, we had all the discussions when we had to do textual studies, and he was really a pillar of support for me. But I will tell you, expectation was I was going to do study to act and study to direct. That was all my expectation. But what blew my mind and almost floored me and always wanted me to come back when I realized you had to do about 13, 14 subjects per week. Textual studies, directing, you have to do curriculum development, psychology, sociology. That's in my goodness gracious. What am I here? I thought it was really, 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 really tough for me. I was not psychologically prepared. And then, of course, you had to be involved in the theater production. Then about 12 o'clock, you leave in the other school, have to rush to get the bus. And it was later on I developed my back problems because of the stress of the extra studies. I developed a severe back problem there in Jamaica. But after the first year, I was able to get my wife and my child. They came up in 1985. And things psychologically was much better off for me. Fortunately, we had a very, 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 very good remuneration support. I think it was about 2,000 US per month, and you could multiply that by 60 Jamaican dollars to the US. So
Nice.
I was able to support the child. I lived comfortably in Jamaica. Unfortunately, they reduced it to 1,500, but still you had enough money and money to survive. So there was my genesis at the Jamaica School of Drama, and created bonds. I mean, we had really, really good relationship. Up to this day, a lot of the friends that I made up to this day, we have a close connection. And I think I'm one of the person who's still staying in contact with almost, I won't say a large percentage, but still I am in touch with a lot of those friends. Yeah.
We got you. And I won't ask you about the other child that was born in Jamaica. The second child was born in Jamaica. I won't ask you that. All right.
So no, let me tell you. Somebody was teased, and I said, my wife was saying, my first wife passed, I've heard that my son's mom. So Anna's my second wife. Sometimes I make a joke and say, girl, and I have a 40-year-old child in Jamaica, girl. I was going to tell you that, But I will tell you, Roger, I was good human being. At that time, I was a very good, holy human Christian young man. Because for the first year in Jamaica, people couldn't believe it. I stood true to my oath. I had a very good friend, though. Her name was Carol Hilton. Carol was young, was 18 years, and we were very close, sat together, all the classes. Of course, she was an adolescent, a bit spoiled. And everybody thought that me and Carol had a relationship, but I never kissed her, Carol. I never had any close connection there, but we were very, very, very close friends. So when my wife came up in 1985, there was a rumor going around, Carol, girl, that my wife come up now, come on, so you had to take her back seat. But there was no intimate relationship, and I'm happy to say that even when we had a group chat afterwards, and I think after 20 years, we were living in Jamaica, and we were chatting in the group, and people were asking for Urias and Carol, and I still says, me and Carol had no intimate relationship. They couldn't believe it. No, I do not know where Carol is. After 40 years, from something years, even I've connected with most of my friends. I don't know where Carol has gone to. So I walked the straight and narrow, and I was well loved and was well respected. Well, as you know, Jamaica have beautiful, beautiful ladies, and Jamaica is a great country. Yes, but I walked the straight and narrow, Roger. I did.
Yes, man. Yes, man. Yeah. Well, I heard that Eugene tried to kill all you. Eugene Williams. Yeah.
Eugene, our directing tutor. I really have to thank Eugene. He was a stickler for excellence. He was meticulous. He was excessively punctilious, if there's such a word. Nothing escaped Eugene, and he was a mentor. But what I admired about Eugene is that Eugene was this calm soul, and you had this respect for him. He was like a big brother, and you didn't have to shout to get his respect. And he was there to guide us. And not only Eugene, there was Brian Hugh, who was our drumming education tutor. Everybody, they felt like big brothers. And I have to be thankful to deceased Alvin Bully. I'm not sure if you heard of that name. He is a cultural icon from Dominica. He died earlier on this year. People like Alvin Bully from Dominica. He was working with UNESCO, who was like a mentor to us. Ron Gibbons from Trinidad and Tobago, who was a lecturer there, but he's now back in Trinidad. They were like big brothers, and got us settled down, came to visit us at home, even when we were in drama school. They was there every Friday. We sat after classes, and they were great mentors. I've not been for them again, so I don't think that we would have been that successful. But Eugene Williams, man, yeah. You do everything. Yeah, you got to go. You got to get this right, and there was no excuse whatsoever. And a lot of the time, I got it in parts, and a lot of things that I started to teach that I didn't gain. After 30 years, and when the light bulb flashed, I said, okay, this is what Eugene was trying to speak about, especially when you're talking about beats, and the motivation for the actors and actor beats. And it's really, really right now, I'm putting a lot of these things into practice after 30 and 40 years. But Eugene was a great person, and I'm very thankful for what he has imparted. I will tell you about him, though, that one of the things that he told me, he said, listen, all students who come from overseas, he said, you cannot afford to fail. He said, the Jamaicans can afford to fail because they are here on land, they can always repeat. He said, you are crossing sea water to go back. That was a great motivating factor for us. We cannot fail. And also another And I must share with you one of the challenges that we had to practically do a 3-year course in 2 years. It was a really, 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 really tough experience because we started off doing directing,
Yes.
theater art, and halfway through we got a communication and directive, which stated that we have to switch from directing and switch to drama in education halfway through the course. And so at the end of the course, technically, we did not get a full completion of both courses. Halfway, a little piece of directing and a little piece of drama in education, and you felt incomplete coming back to Grenada. So I have a look at my granddaughter pass, I guess, to check me to make sure all is going well. Yeah, so it was, and one of the disappointment that we had also that when we were completing our drama in education or the course, I think the chief education officer at that time came up. We had to do a presentation coming close to the end of the course, and we got the assurance. He was so impressed by what he saw, using drama in education as one of the modes to motivate students to learn. And he guaranteed us, that our jobs, will be there waiting for us when we come back. Because there were other students from Grenada, like Cheryl Joseph, who did dance, Cheryl Joseph Banabi. We had Julian George Hobson, who did music, and also deceased Derek Clouden. Yeah, there was 4 of us from Grenada. So at the end of the course, I left in 1986, July of 1986. I came back, and there we were with $45 in my pocket, and whatever personal belongings me and my family, and that great expectation to be placed in the Department of Culture. And they said that we're not done on, I think it's the estimates, the budget for that year. So there I was. I had a rent to pay with $45, a wife and a child. What do I do? It was a big disappointment. So I had to go back to Hubbard's, Johannesburg and Hubbard's, because before I left, I spent 6 years at the lumber department. And I had to go back I applied for employment there again. It's a good thing that I was a very good worker. And they were glad to have me back. So they put me in the appliance department there. So the first 6 years, 1978 to 1984, I learned about lumber. I was not a carpenter or builder, but I really, really learned a lot. So if people have to calculate lumber and anything I have to do with quantity sovereign waste lumber is concerned, I could do it. And then so I went for the next 6 years, from 86 to 92, I was at the appliance department. It's true, I'm not a technical person at all, but of course I learned to change the plug. I learned to understand about wiring. Yeah, and I went back and was a clerk at the lumber department. But in retrospect, I think maybe it's a good thing that happened. So maybe I'm not too sure if I was at the Department of Culture, maybe I would have been stuck. I might have the latitude as much to write and direct and to have the own theater company. So 86, that's when I came back. But what was interesting too, that I started back with the Christian Dramatic Society, and I felt that this great expectation and this great burden on my shoulder that Urias Peters went to Jamaica. Now he's back, because when I came back, it was like a cultural desert where theater was concerned. A lot happened during the revolution. Yeah, in 79 to 83. A lot of cultural activities, but at the fall of the revolution in 83, where drama is concerned, there was like a desert period. So I felt that there was a great expectation. What Urias was brought back. So I rushed and did a play called A New Beginning, where this, of course, under the auspices of the Christian Dramatic Society, with this man who was an alcoholic. His name was Ray, married to this woman, Nelly, the traditional wife, but he was an alcoholic. He lost his way, had this young daughter called Betty, who passed away also because of the father's lack of direction. And later on, he was falsely arrested by the police for stealing. And because of that experience, then he decided to give his life over to the Lord, and then he started a new chapter, a new beginning. We staged it at Marisho Folk Theatre. But at the end of the production, it was just about an hour and 15 minutes, and people says, yes, the play was not bad, but it was too short, and they were disappointed. Roger, I was depressed, because there was, like Brian Lara, with his first innings and his great expectation of at least a half century or a century, disappointed. And I says, no, what the hell do I do? And for some reason, I say, you know what, Urias, your experience at Jamaica or the Jamaica School of Drama, maybe you need to put that into some of that experience into practice, because there you were exposed. You sat at the feet of Rex Netterford, and with his cultural, I'm trying to remember not cultural studies, but cultural lab, and Rex really was such a great, wise educator and cultural artist. I think when he died, the Caribbean region lost a great man. So we sat at Rex Nettlebaugh's feet, Miss Louise Bennett, time to time she came, we did sessions with us, on the cultural forms and get us to understand who we are as a Caribbean people. Rex always punctuated that, we have a Caribbean civilization, and we have to understand who we are as a Caribbean people, and we have to embrace that, our language, our dances, our songs. And when I came back, so the light bulb again clicked, and I says, you know what, Urias, let me try and work on a play that is going to project and express our Grenadian folk life and our Grenadian folklore. And I remember seeing a play called Isla War that was written by Ron Gibbons. It was a play that was set in the Gael in the stick fight arena. And I think it was focused on the Kabule riots in Trinidad at that point in time. And I also read a story, a play called Ione by Walcott from St. Lucia. And these two plays, the script of Ione captivated me, and Isla War, with the stick fight and the singing and the chanting, served as general ideas. And so I decided to write a play called Struggle that was set just prior to the entrance of Eric Matthew Gary, and because he was in Aruba for about 6 years, left Grenada as a young man at age 23, came back at age, I think, 29. And when I realized here that the working and the social condition of the working class Grenadians had changed very little since 1833, 34, or 38, whatever the year when slavery was abolished. They worked under deplorable conditions, maybe for a shilling a day or whatever it is. And I thought that, this is a play that I should write. So I put pen to paper, Roger, and I came up with that script. I think I had about 20 or 15 original folk songs. There was stick fighting, chanting there. And I went on the highway and the byway. I didn't do it under the auspices of the Christian Dramatic Society, because something told me, listen, if I got an OAS fellowship from the government of Grenada and from the OAS, then I have a right to serve a wider constituency, and I have to start to be true to myself and of it. So like a Messiah, I went on the highway and the byway, because a lot of people who were involved in the theater and drama during that time, people like my present wife and they were in the National Performing Company during the Revolution. I went to Agatha Alexis, who was very active in theater, Wayne Bob, Victor Forsyth, a lot of the folks who were not doing anything. And I asked them, would you like to be Marcus Christopher? Who would you like to be involved in a production? And they said, yes. I gave them the script. And we came together, just as a group, not a formal group, and we started rehearsing for Struggle. And I'm proud to say that play was the spark that set ablaze a new appreciation for theater, for drama in Grenada around that time. And we rehearsed, and on the 1st of May 1987, Struggle was staged at the Marisho Folk Theatre. And it was not planned, it just happened that the first of the day, we know is May Day, there were workers there, and it was set in the confines of GBS, of the Marisho Folk Theatre. Roger, that play, we might have done it on three separate occasions. The last time it was done was in 2016. Every night that production was played, the play was sold out. People are standing on the side of the row, on the railings. My show was, I think, 150. We had a show, some most night, 250 people. And the
Wow.
songs resonated. In fact, when we were practicing, those guys on the carnage, this guy called Shorty and some of his colleagues came up. They always used to be back at Marshall House. And up to now, Shorty could sing some of the songs, every single song. And that play, we took it to the length and breadth. I only think the only parish we didn't take it to, please do not kill me for the, was St. David's, because there wasn't a central spot where in St. David's we're going to put it, you know. So Marshall House, from Marshall House, we went to Guelph. I think we stayed at St. Rose. From Guelph, we went to Victoria. We did that Bonnier Government School in Sates. We went, there was an old cinema there that we did stage that, and then we went to the Luke Cinema. So we took that play around. So it was 1987, I said, was a very, very pivotal and important year for theatre in Grenada. Then in 1989, we formally formed the Family Theatre Company. So I was no longer Christian Germanic Society. I opened the company to every single body, whether you're Catholic, Anglican, Presbyterian, Rasta, Muslim, Christian, whatever you know. Yeah, and the Family Theatre Company was born, and we did several productions, and we did it for the love of it. I mean, it was nobody. You have to got a stipend, but that's when I think my playwriting skill developed. So from struggle, we did a play called The New Beginning. I went back and I developed it into a full-length play, and later on it was changed to What's Your Mayhem in Paradise. And I think that's the play that I have to do over, because I think the play really looked at the ethos of us as a Caribbean people, the challenges, the aspirations, the temptations, all those things, the spiritual journey, all these things have been involved. The issue of holding on to your land, the land ownership, you know, having the temptation to sell to foreigners who want to give you monies, and eventually when I say that, you know, if we sell the land, sell it out, yes, eventually the money is going to finish, and then you'll have nothing to stand on, nothing to stand on. And I think this is something that we're experiencing today, where Grenadians, it is very difficult to buy lands. The cost of land now has skyrocketed, where even young people find it hard even to buy a piece of land and to build. It's something. So I think that play is so necessary. I think the play is like a flip side of that play called Moon on a Red Shawl, you know, which looked at the struggles of a young man at the time, wanted to make a better life and had to leave overseas. And I think the flip side is, listen, you can stay here at times and make it, you know.
And
so I would really want
happen.
to see, yes, I would really want maybe to work on that play. So also the struggle of a young girl, adolescent, struggling with her sexuality, and the lack of a father, that's positive influence of a father, you know, the influence to try out drugs, and but it's a very strong message, because the play is set close to the seaside village called Paradise, you know, and then there's a temptation where this investors want to come to buy this little piece of paradise way overlooking the sea, you know, that is, whether to sell or not to sell, you know. So that is part of the dynamics where that was the second major play I wrote. And then after that, I can recall that the extramural department, that is called Open Campus now, there, Beverly, Mrs. Steele challenged me. I think at that time the University of the West Indies and those campuses had an endowment fund where we were trying to raise funds for the centers. And she challenged me, right, not to come on board, and I joined forces with them, and we did a play that was called Rivals, or in fact Rivals in Conflict, which looked at the contribution of the University of the West Indies to the Caribbean society. And what I did, I got two rivals, two young men, rivals and everything, in primary school. Went to one went to PBC, one went to GBSS. Both of them was in love with this young girl. He was always rivaling. And one eventually won the Island Skull, went to Barbados. The other one did not win, and he was jealous of his other friend. Why are you going to Urias? A total waste of time. And that play was done. I think we were able to raise a tidy sum for my shows at that point in time. That play was restaged, I think, in 2016, 2017, or thereabouts. Of course, the good thing about playwriting is that you can always upgrade a script. A play is never completed, based on situations and the history. I upgraded. Maybe that's something I might see again sometime in the near future. So that play was done, called Rivals. Then I did something that's called Shattered Expectations, which looked at the generation gap, where the father, his name was Alexander Moses. He was a man who cared not for religion, not for God, and he ruled his household with an iron fist. And he was married to a woman, she was a devout Christian woman called Sarah. And Alexander Moses, he was the man who decided what profession his children had to follow. They had no choice in deciding what profession they took. And so you can understand the complications and the challenge that will happen there, where a man is not a Christian, doesn't believe in God, and this woman is a devout, is a devout Christian. And so over the years, I have adjusted the script, and I think it's a play with just 4 characters, and it took place in one setting, and that's a play which I think needs to. Maybe I think it also could be done as a film. Shattered Expectations. I also did something called David's Story. Was a one-man play. I always try to experiment with violence. 1996, a number of young men, they committed violent crimes by stabbing. In fact, 2 murder, and they were sentenced to Channel prison. So I wrote the play called Send Us Hand, which later I renamed David's Story. And after that, I had a break because for some reason I went through a state of depression. I did not understand where my life was going. You're writing a place, you're staging a place, and you're not too sure what is your calling. Is this making any sense? So I just stopped writing. And it was not until 1999, after I think I left Thomas at that time, I wrote a play called The Burial of Miss Fatelin. In fact, it was Wayne Bob over the years was always asking you, why not write a play about a funeral? Because every time you come back with a story that was very funny, but how will you write a play about death and dying? And in 1999, I wrote a play called The Burial of Miss Fatelin. It was based on information I got. They were all true information, which I capsuled and condensed them into a full-length play. And I think what started it was I got a story about a woman from the south of the island. She was on her deathbed, and the priest came to give her a last sacrament. And eventually, her daughter, whom she had a very bad relationship, she and her daughter was not speaking terms. Daughter came back from America. She came back with this wreath and this funeral dress. And by some miracle, this woman in Grenadian, she recovered. And my wife, who is a nurse, says that the last sense that leaves you as a human being is a sense of hearing. So even when people are unconscious or when people are dying, they can still hear. So it's always important that we be careful what we say when people are unconscious or when they die. And so I think that is what happened to that woman. Maybe when the daughter came back and she and the daughter had just a bad relationship, and I'm sure maybe the daughter was in some confusion behind the property. But she recovered, the woman in Ghana, she recovered. And then she started to cuss, oh, you bitch! All you want me to dead! Well, if I dead and I go dead, stand up for all your backside! You have to break my 2 foot in. So after that, I got all the stories and I put the play together. And Miss Fatelin, we staged this play again. That play must have been staged on 6 separate occasions. And every time came Roger. We stayed about 7 weekends in Marishaw House. We went to Grenville, went to Carriacou. I remember one night in Grenville, people were sitting right in front of the floor because there on the floor we could not hold enough people. I remember this guy, this guy in Grenville when he was listening, because it was really hilarious. He started to bawl and cry, and he said, oh God, I can't laugh again. Oh God. That is so hilarious. When we did it at in Spice Basket, there was a guy who was invited by one of his colleagues, and he said he didn't distribute this drama. This colleague really forced him to come to the play. And at one point in time, when an incident happened, he was on stage, where I think the priest got planast because a mouse were run up the priest's frog, and he took the planast to kill the mouse. The guy ran out of the theater screaming, laughing, and then he had a laughing fit where he was going into convulsions, and Anne, as a nurse, had to go outside, give him a paper bag for him to blow to get his breath back. I think he was hyperventilated. And that play, I think, not in my wildest imagination, I thought would have believed that this play would have been so successful. We did it not too long ago. The conversion again was every time we said it was sold out. We did it twice in the United States of America. We had Oliver Samuels, the iconic comic actor from Jamaica, had the privilege of doing the second time in the United States, and every time that play was staged, Jamaican community at one time was 3,500 patrons in that theater, and they came to that play and enjoyed it to the fullest. When Oliver came on stage as the actor, as the Undertaker, he played the crooked Undertaker. The play stopped for 2 minutes. You know, like when there's somebody and everybody starts erupting. When Oliver came, the whole auditorium shouted, Oliver, Oliver, Oliver. Everybody had to breathe. Went beyond my wildest expectation. So up to now, The Burial of the Faithlin, I think, to me, is one of the most attended play because it dealt with real life. But I had to backtrack though, and to say that in 1992, just prior to that, when incest was not a crime on the law books in Grenada, and I remember Mrs. Cornwall, that she came, and I think she was affiliated later on to the Grenada National Organization of Women, GNOW, and she says, Urias, please, can you come on board? Can you do a play or something that's going to put pressure on the government so that they can make incest a crime? If the child was 16 and under, because 16 was the age of a sexual consent, so if the child was under 16 and the close relative of the father and mother had a sexual relationship with a child, then that person can be charged, what they call unlawful common knowledge or whatever it was, that the child was not necessarily for incest, because incest wasn't a crime. And I said yes, because hey, that's, to me, sometimes it's hard to say no. And after I said yes, I wonder, well, what the hell did I put myself in? This is a dark theme. And I always believe that theater, the bottom line, no matter what you do, is entertainment. How can I write a play that is going to captivate the audience? And I regretted that I ever said yes, I will come on board. And then at that time, she was the director of Women's Affairs, and she came in one afternoon and says, Urias, I left that there's a child who came into my office and said she's not going back home. She drank kerosene because she thought the kerosene were going to kill her because the father was sexually molesting her. And I said, maybe that is a signal from the divine. I don't like to use the word G-O-D. I want to use the word the divine, and that divine power, the divine force, the divine spirit that we define as God, human being. I think that was the divine force that says, listen, you have to use the theater to address that issue. And I know for a long time I wanted to write a cartoon drama. And so I took pen and paper and I said, you know what I'm going to do? And I can't remember where I got the idea from. As playwrights or as creative, you get ideas from the least expected place. So I know I wanted to do a cartoon drama. And I decided, hey, I'm going to do it as a murder trial, where this young man murdered his father because the father was allegedly having this incestuous relationship at home with his teenage sister. So I did my homework. I went in as Wilma Hilton. At that time, she was Jamaican, but she was the director of public prosecution at that time here in Grenada. So Hilton walked me through how she would prosecute the case. She gave me her notes, and I had to do the homework. And Margaret Wilkinson I went to Margaret also. She said, "Ask her, just suppose you are a criminal law, defend this young man. What are the do's and don'ts? What angle it will take?" So Margaret again came to rehearsals to give us directions about the police officers, and I put the script together and gave it to myself and gave it to Margaret, and they were able to guide me. And I say, what I'm going to do is to ask members of the audience to be a jury. I think you were a member of the jury, Roger, in one of the recently staged productions. I can't remember. Yes,
That's
and we took that.
That's by you.
Yes, and that play was staged, I think, in 1992 or thereabout. And again, we took it to the length and breadth of the entire island. And I remember Francis Alexis, the then Attorney General at that time, we invited him to see the play. So it could have been 92, 93, I'm not sure of the year, but thereabout. And Dr. Alexis was in the audience. And at the end of the run of the play, I can remember 3 months after he met me, somewhere in Lucas Street, I met him and says, "Urias, you've not got your law. Incest is now on the law books of Grenada." And I never felt so proud of myself, Roger. Having to use the play, having to use theater, having to use the arts, having to use drama to influence legislation. And on the downside of it, it's a crime that continues unabated. But in the past, a lot of people were not prosecuted, but I think a lot of people are speaking out, and a lot of, especially our males, are being prosecuted. So I'm hoping maybe it was a result of that. So recently we took that to the communities, and again the play is still as relevant, still as fresh, still has an important role to play. So that was one of the highlights of my journey.
But Master Yuri, that's a big highlight. You say that's one. That's
Yes.
Are you kidding me? After you said, well, something, what? That ain't simple. No, but I can't do like you. I had to say it louder for you. That's a master big piece of achievement. You break record.
Yes. And I'm happy that the work was done, because even we staged recently last month, we took it to all, still the impact, when you did the GPSS auditorium, and at the end of the play, a young lady came up to me and says, "Mr. Peters, this is my story. This is my story." And I got goosebumps. I was close to tears. I was able to give her a hug, And I think that this is the story of so many of our young females. The sexual abuse, the domestic violence. It is something that we have to start addressing in a meaningful way, and not just from the women's domestic violence of children and women and girls, but also for boys. Because a lot of times when you have those who have been incarcerated and you speak with them, you realize that they come from abusive home, they have seen abuse from children, they don't have no relationship with their father figure, and they don't know how to form a healthy relationship, and that's why they hit out. So I think we have to start focusing on our young men, Roger, to the arts. So that's why I think the arts I think have to save us. A lot of time when I say that, our Christian colleagues feel as one glass feeling that no, you cannot say that yours, but I know from experience that the arts have to save us, because I think 25 years ago I was in prison, Roger, and I always saying that. I would not say I was in prison. I mean, I went to do a session with some prisoners. They were doing a Christmas
Eve. We got you.
Yes, and I had to give some directions, and then they invited me to see the production. And 8 months ago, I met this young man, and I was putting gas in my car, and he said, "Mr. Peters, long I want to see you, man. Long I want to see you." I was flagging you down, thinking, Roger, that this man was coming to beg me. But I only had $20 in my wallet. I say to myself, "God, I'm so soft-hearted." If people ask somebody, I give. But I wish I had 4 5. I would give him $5, So I give him my last $20 away. Then he come up, but then it wasn't money he wanted. He says, "I was in prison. 25 years ago, Mr. Peters. And after you leave, after the session, you leave. I tell myself I'm not going back to this place. And he said, Mr. Peters, 25 years now, I'm out. He said, I'm working, I'm behaving myself. So I want to thank you for saving my life. Power of the arts. And I did not know that this had happened. Even some of those who didn't even tell me that, those who after that I recognized, every time I saw them, I get a big hug up, a big hail up, because it seems to me that the arts and the way I teach, it strikes some emotional chord in the hearts of these young men. So the arts has such an important role. As you know, Roger, you're a German education specialist, you have your theatre company, and how important it is to impact our young people. And that's where I think the directions, I wish that our Caribbean governments or ministers of education and culture can really understand and embrace us, and so that the arts will give us rightful place. It can be used to address what I call the social infrastructure. So many times we tend to base emphasis quite rightfully on the physical infrastructure, for building the roads and building houses and the traffic lights, etc. But the social infrastructure in the Caribbean and Grenada is fractured, it's damaged. When people drinking alcohol because they're looking for something to go on to, domestic violence, the incest, the media larceny, we have to focus on that. Even though I know Grenada to me is still one of the best places in the world, I don't exchange it. I love it, and we get kudos for being so safe, but still, the hidden social scourges cannot continue to hide them under the carpet. So I think that was that play was a major highlight.
But you're digging up things. You're digging up things long, Uncle Yuri. Long time you're digging up things. I mean, you're such a pillar in the arts. I mean, by now that pillar should have been a big tree trunk somewhere in society. Where we go put? Where, I mean, what Kelly said, give you flowers before you're dead. Anyway, we go reach it just now. You know, like with the section where they put in the icons and the heroes and so on. Because you see, I find you pass over the one with the power of the arts there into where you get bills passed or laws passed using the arts. That's a big thing all over in East Asia, in Europe, in Lebanon. I know that there's some drama therapists doing some big work to get even going to the prison and get the work to happen. And look, you do it right here in Grenada. Them things don't happen simple, so now, Uncle Yuri. What do you mind? You're making history. Hello, we need to write the book better.
Well, I'm very gratified because because even when we did play at GBSS, and I think there was a men's forum here. We had men from different parts of the region came to Grenada for this conference. And when you hear the comments and the response from some of the participants who came to the play in GBSS there, what's your verdict? Where they were moved and they feel as this is a play that's the other. And I wouldn't mind actually sending the scripts to other parts of the region. So again, based on the response that I get, and one even from a local Grenadian who said when he saw the play in Carrick, he says, "Urias, that play hit me in my belly somewhere," and I was most emotional. He said that it should be played in every community, in every school, and the Prime Minister also should take it up as his mantra to lead, because he said that is how I think you can get change, meaningful change, when we do it on a continuous basis, a production like that. And the ministers take it up, and we go to the highways and byways and in the churches always, and try to get that done. So this comes from the rank and file of Grenadian citizenry.
Yeah, man. But I go hit you with something here now, because your plays are so culturally relevant. I ain't hear you talk about redemption yet, but your plays dig right into the society, and I mean, you're a man of the arts from country to tongue to all around. You're nailing the things right there. And I find you smiling at it, but no, that one was I mean that one is history. You have to put that one in the books. What do you say?
Yes. So, but even before I go to redemption time, let me just share something too. I did a folk musical when I was up at Spice Basket called The Linda. because I love the folk, and we took about a number of popular folk songs and merged them into a play called Belinda, which I guess I might do over sometime. Just as a big character, and you have to have a band. But another important milestone that we have come to redemption time was a play that we call the Junction Box. I remember about 10 years ago when Elwin McQuilkin, the Black Wizard, celebrated his 40th anniversary as a calypso artist, such an iconic writer. And I look at that as the Junction Box. Wizard went up on the March Gras night. He was honored and he got a Rolex watch. I think the Rolex is a very expensive watch. But when I sat in the audience, I said, this man is such an iconic, one of the best calypso writers, calypso in the region, and it's just a watch he's getting. And I said, no, this cannot be right. And I went and approached Wizard, I think was the same week, and I said, Wizard, why not, let's do a production. How would you feel if I do a musical and incorporate your songs? And Wizard gave me the blessings, and I took 20 of Wizard's calypso. The problem we had initially, though, was which songs to leave out, which one to leave out. And of course, I chose what I wanted, and then he showed this. One of these few, he said he wants so a few of which he identified, and I got 20 songs. It was an easy play. Surprisingly, it was easy because once I got the song and got the lyrics, I just scripted I scripted the script. Is that the right thing to say, boy? I scripted around the songs, and we decided to set the play at a junction, at a rum shop in the junction in La Digue, where this is from. And the shopkeeper just faced the bacchanalist, who was a nonsense woman. And there's the barfly, a guy who drinks, he's an alcoholic, but he knows the history of everything in the village, you know. And we decided to set the play at that junction, and as arguments and the villagers passed and the contention between the rum barfly and the market. And those contentions took place, the songs unfolded. And then we had Wizard was a character in the play, because it was a year when it was so blatant when Wizard did not win that calypso crown. I can't remember, I think, who was in the crown that year. But the people from La Digue and St. Andrews were so irate that they said, you know what, we're going to crown Wizard in La Digue. Wizard himself said that, you know, he really did not really want to encourage that, because he would feel as though he was a spoiled sport. But then again, those was his patron, and maybe even come, they would have been offended, and he was a great fan. So they brought Wizard up to La Digue and they crowned him. So so that was the highlight of the play, you know, when the play unfolded and the song, when they realized, listen, what are ready on what Wizard comes second, and it's a big confusion, and they say, we bring up Wizard here, right in the junction box to come in. And then Wizard in the play arrived, that's with a quick in, and crowned him, and when Wizard started to sing, and the whole 15, 20 people on the stage, you see Wizard, that was the scene where Wizard was waiting to be crowned in La Digue, and you see the guy with the red tie, that's Silver McIntyre. He was known as Piet, the village drunk, and he was reading out all the accolades of Wizard, and everybody, you know, were in unison, and Wizard performed, and the whole group performed to end the production. So I think that was, to me, Wizard said, hey, that was his eulogy. He said that he don't want no eulogy again. That was the highlights, you know, of him and Wizard sang and he read with us. I think he's coming out very soon next year. We launched The Making of a Wizard, which I think is a very important text to show Wizard's journey and what influenced a lot of the calypsos that he wrote. So that was, I think, another accomplishment for me, where I celebrated Wizard. I think it's long overdue for me to do something on a Jamo, because Jamo, as a music man, it's like the quality of the music. And I believe that he's one of the most versatile music men that the Caribbean has ever produced. He sings calypso, he sings soca, lovers rock, sings reggae, he sings parang. I know he got into gospel. I'm not too sure if there was another calypso artist, musical singer, who has trotted across so many different genres, you know. So I just think that we have to start honoring our own you know. So just so you have Kirani to be one of the greatest 400 meters runner ever to run us through the Olympics, you know, when it's famous, this is something phenomenal. You're just so with James, I think. It's a guy that we have to honor. So junction box. So yes, so now we can come back to redemption time. that has a big long history. Yeah? It has a history. And again, I
No,
want to thank you.
that's good. You see, you make the mark there, but I find they hiding you. Are you hiding? Let me call name. Who hiding you? Yeah? The lady that come and meet you in Jamaica, that hiding you. Or what going on? How good that hiding you? No man. Look here, that had to fix. Anyway, let me hush me mouth. Yeah.
So that was, I mean, the junction box was a really a lovely production.
Yes, excellent, man. Excellent. It's a lot of food there. But I for those who miss the most recent staging of redemption, they miss a lot of pain and suffering and heartbeats, heart racing, and anyway, let me leave it for you.
So let me share with you the journey, and I think
hold on, okay, hold on. But I find all this selfish with the revolution story. And those the children and the adults who didn't learn this story, all they could have go by Uncle Yuri for that play and watch it. Why are they keep the history hidden from us, the children who were growing up like that? You said the thing, you know much children learn? My students come there and they learn so much. Anyway, back to you, yeah?
Yeah, and I must say that we are going to be staging it back in the end of January, and at the end of January to do a repeat, and then one performance in Grenville with the Luke Cinema, because the play closed off last October when we had sold out audiences, and it's foolish to cut off a play when you have you have full house. You cut off the play when people stop coming.
Because we had
yes, because we had the Ministry of Social Development and UNICEF to do the what's your verdict, then we have to cut off. And a lot of people are coming from overseas, so we have to do that. But I will tell you again, because I did a documentary, commentary before the play started, and the genesis started at Jamaica School of Drama, right at the amphitheater. And again, Alvin Bully from Dominica, as I said, he was working with UNICEF. UNESCO, I believe at the time, and UNESCO approached him. That was in 1983. This is the fall of the Grenadian Revolution, to write a play on the Grenadian Revolution. And I really wish, that we could have had that opportunity. And Alvin said, no, you can do it. And I really thought, wow, why would he turn down to writing doing a project when I'm sure that he would have been well paid? And being in Jamaica and having, I say having bills to pay back home, I say, why didn't they ask me? Well, even they asked me at that time, I know there's no way I could have had the time to write a play, and I didn't have. I wasn't mature enough as a playwright. But Alvin Bully turned it down, and it's only later on I realized, as I developed and started reading about playwriting, I realized, that this man, I had to honor him, because when you're writing, you always declare this, I believe. A sense of this is what I believe. And I know I had a lot of biases at that point in time after the revolution fell, pointing fingers, and you had this anger. And I know if I wrote a play at that time, I would not have been a balanced writer at that point in time. But when I left Jamaica in 86, I had this yearning desire to come back home to work on a play on the Grenadian Revolution. And it was then that I realized, well, when you cannot put a timeline on work of the arts, and sometimes I just want to write a play for writing a play's sake, it's not the easiest thing to do. And it was not until 2003, that was the 20th anniversary of the demise of the Grenadian Revolution, I said, wait. I came back from Jamaica in 86, and this was my intention to write a play on the revolution. And here we are 20 years later. And I've learned something too after that sometimes you have to force yourself to write. So then we had to start writing for discovery. And I picked up a pen and paper. I was on a computer at that time in 2003, and I started to write the first half of the play, which was set during the Gary era. And that was a bit easy for me, because I said I grew up with an old aunt. Auntie Baby was a Garyite. Roger, and a Roman Catholic. And she was such a staunch supporter of Gary that if you come in her house and there's any discussion or argument about Gary, she will take this container of water and dash it on you and kick you out of the house, never to return, never to have a conversation with you again. I remember she did that to a man, I think his name was Santa. He was a Roman Catholic also. I was a Roman Catholic at that time, and I did not see Santa until about 30 years, 35 years after that. So that's when I saw him. So I said, and of course she was a woman, had strong views. She had a very unforgiving heart. She was a strong woman, but if you did her something 40 years ago, she never forgave you for that. And I said, you know what? This is the character I'm going to start with. I'll call her Miss Audrey, but I would not make her a Roman Catholic. I'm going to make her a spiritual Baptist. Because Eric Matthew Gary, at that time, he embraced that grassroots religion. Same like Edward Seaga, same like the former Prime Minister of Jamaica. Edward Seaga lived among the grassroots people and embraced the religion. And also Eric Williams, the spiritual Baptist, he was very, very, very close to them. And I always find ways of trying to declare, how important it is for us to hold on to what is called the spiritual side of our African traditions. There's a difference between being religious and being spiritual. A lot of times, Roger, our foreparents came from Africa, enslaved, but they had a spiritual belief. So things like Maroon, in my time when you had to work a piece of land and everybody came together, the men, and they fought the land, and the women cooked the Maroon dumpling and the stew. This was a spiritual exercise show that we are one and we support each other. When you had to move a house, we came together and we moved the house. When you had, at the end of the year, they call it Saraka, Salaka, where they give thanks to a good harvest, and you fed the children first, take care of the children. They had to eat first, and you fed the village. And up to now, first time when I went to Saraka, I was in Tivoli, and I went to a home and saw this huge pot of food and the meat, and they said, it's all free. So my goodness gracious, it's part of our traditions, it's part of spirituality. We don't have, everything is not punished. And, and I had to make a point. Let me make this woman into a spiritual Baptist. This is who we are. Because even our not traditional, but so-called prominent religious body look down on the spiritual Baptists. Because I don't know if it remind them of Africa, and because of the way they dress and say that they will be our people and what and so forth. But I just think, that we cannot run away from who we are, from our origins, and our people who slaved on the plantation, and even after that, after slavery was abolished, still really had a tough, hard life. And I know they had aspirations, and we are the fulfillment of what our foreparents was hoped and dreamed for. Look at us, Roger. We are creative, we are on the stage, we have a prime minister who is a black man, a prime minister, a governor general, and so forth, who are at the head of our society. So this is part of their aspiration. So I decided I want to make Miss Audrey into a spiritual woman. She was not a perfect woman. She could have seen, she could see the future. She could see things, that prophetess, yeah. But she was imperfect in her own ways. And that's how the play was. I started with the play, and the first half was written, and we had a public reading in 2003 at Otway's house. And incidentally, that's when, I think in 1974, I believe, 74, 73, Morris Bishop's father, when there was a demonstration in St. George at that time, his father was killed, by the British forces because he was trying to protect his children, school children at that time, and Morris was shot and killed. So it was there, incidentally, we had the first reading. And the people, they enjoyed it, they were intrigued, and I said, listen, I declare, October of 2003, the full-length play of Redemption Time will be staged. It will be staged. And Roger, 2003 came, and I realized I could not move forward with the play because I did not have enough facts. A lot of things I did not understand, because I knew for a fact that there are some people who were not even in St. George's. When Bishop was killed, they were on St. Patrick. My wife could declare that one of the soldiers who were there protecting them from the onslaughts of the gun. and she knew for a fact that he ended up in the 17th there on and be tried and was sentenced for 27 years. Well, of course, that's another story in terms of why they decided to pull themselves as a group and did not have individual attorneys. But I said no. I had to start finding some answers, and that's why I realized I could not continue writing because I didn't have enough facts. And 2003 and then 2004 came. I was working. I went 2005 working in Emily. I could write in that time. And then when we arrived at 2013, I realized, well, wait, guy, Urias, this is 30 years. You had an idea since 1986 to come back and write Grenadian. You promised the people in 2003. You wrote the first half 10 years that passed. Again, I realized I had to force myself to write. And so I completed the second half, put it together. And yet still I had a dilemma. How do I end this play? Because the majority of the play is inspired by true events. What statement? Because as a playwright, you have to make a statement at the end, that what is it am I saying? And I had a dilemma. And until when I sent the script to my colleague in Trinidad, and he says, Urias, listen, man, just tell the story. You have no responsibility to brush things and to romanticize things. Just tell the story. And even this final story, how it ends? The other productions that I did it in 2013 is different. It did never end. Like I think I've right at that point in time. So I got the actors together. We did a lot of workshopping. I got in soldiers, people who were involved in the revolution, to look at the rehearsal process, so they read the script and give guidance. And we staged it on October 18th, I believe. We started at the Spice Basket in 2013. And I remember there was a lady, I think my wife's cousin, who at the end of the production was crying. And she realized that she had so much pain because she says, October 1983, that when there was the curfew and it was lifted and she had to went to catch water by the standpipe, just from Guelph. And then after that, the tanks, I think the Grenadian tanks, the guys start coming down the road, I believe, yes. I think the tanks, yeah, I believe so. Or the American tanks, I'm not too sure. But then people start scampering. They were so scared, and she fell and somebody trampled her. And she was pregnant. And when she saw the place, she said, wait, I could have lost my child. I could have lost my child. And it was the first time she actually cried, and the play was well received. The only problem with it, the play was long. We started at 8 o'clock and we finished after 11. And I was told that because the play was a great play, but it was too long. And the next day I called an emergency rehearsal. People had to report, I think, from 3 o'clock. And I said, guys, no problem. It's at 8, 9, 10, 11, finishing, leaving people leaving there 11:30. So we got a cut. I said, cut? He says, yes, we got a cut. And I had to cut one scene and join it with the next one. And they thought I was mad, I was crazy. But we rehearsed right there, I think it's Spice Basket. And I think we got it to 2 hours and 45 minutes. It was kind of long, but it was one of the most challenging productions I had to do. But not in my wildest dream did I think that a play like that would have been such a massive success. And then because October 1983 marked the 40th anniversary of the Grenadian Revolution, the fall of the revolution, I thought it was so important to do this play over again. And to do it where at Labukan. The actors, some of them thought I was crazy because this place is so small, 80 people at this small stage, and how we are going to accomplish all these technical challenges. And then again, I realized it would have been a problem, but I realized that according to Eugene, all technical problems can be solved. And he shared with us his experience.
Yes.
And we utilized the space. You came, Roger. You gave us some comments. I wish you came back at the end to see the comments, especially for Katya as a spiritual practice. She got it eventually. She got it. And we don't have a backstage at Labukan Creative Center. So as a result of that, I had to make some of the entrances and exits through the audience and have the actors interact with the audience. And to me, people thought that was a very important element. And I realized the intimacy, because the play was so intimate, you were like in the belly of the whale, right in the center of the storm. The response and the comments after, mind blowing. Even people who never knew much of the revolution, who were foreigners, white folks who came for the first time, people from England and who from Canada, they were able to follow the story. And I, was so happy that we had such a successful run of that play. And I was getting the comments here again, once again, that the drama is therapy. They said, because you did not take sides, you had a balance, and at the end, you try to bring some healing. Because this play, based on the side of the fence that you are on, it can be very contentious. I know some people deliberately have not come to the play because they believe that Urias is there to laud the revolution, that he the revolution, and they were hurt by the revolution, some aspect of it, so they decided not to come. But I had to be balanced. The revolution had its plus, and a lot of great things happened. There's also a dark side to the revolution, which I tried to share with the book. Also, Eric Matthew Gary, a great guy as far as concerned, but then too, he had his weaknesses. So I just tried to be fair and to be honest. But what that play did for me, to me, the history wrote itself, but to show how the theatricality of the use of the lights and the sound effects and the war and everything, I think I'm very grateful to that history, at the time of Eric Matthew Gary, at the time of the revolution, to do, I think, one of our most powerful pieces of theater, which is going to be restaged again, let's say, the last weekend in January, and we're going to do one performance in Grenadian. Because a lot of people from overseas are asking for it, and even people who have not seen the production here in Grenada, they are asking for that production to be restaged.
Yeah, man. But excellent. And you talk about history in the schools and so on. That is history I would support in the schools, because
Yes.
it is so broad. I mean, so specific yet so broad that it opens a lot of eyes and minds. So for those who see it, I think they should really get a taste of it. I don't know what magic are you going to do, but you had to do something, because I feel that the 1970s, 80s were hidden, and that play bring out a lot that people need to see. It's not about which side you're on. The message in it is very clear. So people need to see it, Uncle. You had to do something again. Stay there. All right, I will deal with all this. You had to do something again for the children, because we keep saying history. We don't know what history, but you have a bag of history there in a play, man. What?
Roger, I mean, I am, again, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I wish, that we haven't arrived as yet, but I'm still very, very optimistic that with a production like that, and then if we can take it maybe to the schools, but then of course we have to have people who are available, because most of our actors, they have full-time jobs, and I don't know how to do it. I always take my hats off to them. People have the full-time jobs, they have the family, they are studying, and yet still they have to come and do this lunch rehearsals. But it would be so nice that if we could take those productions maybe to every single school, every school child. Because as you said, Marcus, you all say, if you don't have a sense of a history, then you're like a true to the roots. The people, again, who turn a blind eye to the history, they're prone to repeat the mistakes of the past. And Grenada's history, even from a tourism product also, it is so rich. We've had revolutions. In the Federal Revolution, created production on that. We had the 51 uprising, and we have our forts, there are so many intriguing stories or people. I mean, this could be used as a tourism product also. So, I mean, I'm in the last trimester of my life, and also as a cultural artist, but I just really, really, really hope. I'm preoccupied and I'm anxious, and I'm still excited to tell you that we have to have this discussion. We have to have this discussion as to where we go with those productions. And I will tell you though that after we did, I can't remember the first weekend in Babukan. I still cut off about 15 minutes because I think it was We are now running for 2.5 hours. I had to condense and cut off some part, which the actors didn't like. But I say, guys, this 1 hour first half and 90 minutes. It's long. People say it's not boring, but we still got to jump off some things. So again, I am at the stage of my life after looking at that, and this is the first time in the 40 years journey as a director and a playwright. This is the only time a production where I did not have to be there. When the production started, yes, all the lighting technician, the sound technician, they have the cue books, the cue sheets, I had the stage manager, and everybody knew what they had to do. And after the second weekend, Roger, I stayed home for the first half. And after the second half, I walked in, where Mr. Peter, where Mr. Peters, and I said, well, that's how it's supposed to be at the end of my rehearsal session. The stage manager supposed to, and this was the very first time I could have done it, and I feel a sense of accomplishment. And that is why I want to start, a series of workshops where I start looking for the next generation of playwrights, and also just to share the elements and the things that we do in order to stage, to how we use it, about staging a production, and to allow them to take the mantle and to give some directing tips. So this is where I am at that. But before I go to, I don't know how much more time we have. But I must also share. There's a play. I'm not too sure if you saw that. There's a play called No Money, No Love, which I think is another play that I think is very important for the Caribbean, which looked at a conflict between two young lovers, a female. One is working, and there's a male who is a musician, a songwriter, and he has a dream to go overseas to make it big. And but she's paying the bills. Things economically is tough on her, and we just show she loved it. And as a result of that, brings in a conflict in the entire relationship. But actually, it's making a plug here of the challenges of our creatives and our artists, but still showing sometimes at the same time that there's goal in your own backyard, and we have to start believing in ourselves, and we have to start supporting our local people. And so I think that play makes a very powerful statement. Also the importance of copywriting our work. So that's a play which I think needs to be staged again. Somebody tell me, Urias, you don't need to write a new play. Just rehash some of these old plays because they're so very relevant and so very, very contemporary. So I just really want to see us with some additional playwrights, because playwriting, I say, nobody can teach you to write a play. I never went to a playwriting workshop. Nobody ever held my hand. Yes, I went into the Manly. There was a playwriting session, so that I realized it's a gift, and it can only be honed as you continue. It's like for people who are journalists, because even after I write the play, when I look back and say, "But how did I write that? I can't believe it's me that it had to be another force that was directed." So just happy for the God-given talent that I've got, and try to use it for the betterment of our society. And not only just the play, Roger, but what I'm so grateful for is that, to me, it has given me a voice. It has given me an opportunity, even when I'm directing, and teaching, to touch people's lives. Because for me, as I say, I don't like crowd, but I love people. And I, as a human being, part of my core belief is that I believe that everybody is important. And the words of a human being is how you treat other people who you perceive to be of a lesser status. This hierarchy, I don't believe in that. So, as the garbage men collecting garbage, at the end of the year, we make a collection of our neighborhood, and at the end of the day, we say thank you for your great service. We appreciate what you do. I drive along the road, I see those guys with the wheelbarrow and the spade and by the road, clean the drain. I stop and I say, thank you very much. I have a short conversation, and you can see how much they appreciate that. And so, as a dramatist and a creative person, I think it has given me that opportunity to connect with people. My community, I live at the bottom of Gulf Coast. I go and walk every day, but I go through almost to the beginning of Fenton village, and I know everybody all the children, they know me. I make a connection. So when I go and walk, I see a guy, he's taking blocks, to pick some from one section to the next. Something may say, Urias, you have to walk. So if you have to walk, this guy, I say, no, Urias, can help the guy move the blocks. This time you get strength because I say, can I help you? And I stop for half an hour. We move the blocks. I get strength to work with half an hour. And I come back. So I just think, that this is where we have to start looking out for each other. If we want to build a great society, start in our own communities, because people of my generation of the 50s and the 60s, I think we have got the last bastion of form discipline. And it was kind of harsh, beating flogged at that time, but we knew what the discipline even that our parents cared for us, and the community and society was one. But we have opted out of our communities because we have to pay our mortgage, we have our cars where we drive, and we wind up class, and we don't interact with the young people and always want to bash them and something go wrong. But I think it's important that we have to form relationships where every young person, I can sit and chat and speak to them during COVID, even the whole issue of vaccine. And they go, Mr. Peters, what do you think about the vaccination? I shared my views. I didn't really force my opinion on them, but they come and surround me. And recently again, some young ones who in their 20s, one of the police force, all of them working, and they start talking and they say, so Peters, you take care of us, because when I saw we washing on the car, some of them come and wash the car, pay them. When I clean cut the bush, they come and help me rake. So now when I clean the whole neighborhood, I have 2 rakes and they're fighting to help to rake because of the way I treated them. So with the arts and that different community and that spiritual mission which we need to embark on, I really have to think that we need a social revolution. And I think the arts have given me that opportunity, but I just think that there's much more that I could have done. But I think.
But I have a bigger challenge for you, Uncle Yuri. I watch you, I listen to you, I follow you. Yes. And you're a master storyteller too. You're like the boss of storytelling, and I think that one is kind of not put out there. I'm not talking about in the playwriting.
Yeah.
You're a boss storyteller, so why you end in the schools now, going on to the schools to share that energy? Because the teachers will need your help,
Thanks a lot.
Look what I'm telling you. Come on, man. The teachers going to need you, kindergarten, primary, up. What going on?
I think that is such a very important point that you've made. Every teacher now needs to learn the art of stories. And it came naturally again because my father used to tell us stories. And I tell you, out of the 21 children between mother and father, of course, my mother had 11 and he had 10 and 5. I'm the only one who tells stories. And again, where I also developed it with my granddaughter, Nala, she's now 11. And when she come across and spend the weekend, I had to tell her stories. And when the stories ran out, the Nazi stories, I have to create my own stories to tell her. Just recently, last month, when I told her some of the stories I made up, on the spot, she said, Grandpa, I told you to write them stories and you had them there. And after now, she herself tells stories. She herself is a very creative young lady. She has a good voice, she has a great imagination. In school, she tells stories. And I have to come and tell a story. She's the first one to be able to tell a story. So I think that's a very, very important point that you have made there for teachers.
Yes.
And then maybe you could have about storytelling festivals, coming up maybe through the schools. So
there you go.
Festival, yeah. But I look at stories.
There you go.
I love to tell the
keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I know you have it there. You had it in luck.
Yeah,
and the teachers are glad to get, you see, because there's an art to storytelling. Everybody think it's just telling a story. No, you understand? You understand? There's an art to storytelling, and I'll tell you, there's we have the Anti-Tech Festival.
Anti-Tech, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, she was
yeah, man. I spent time with Anti-Tech, and I have observed and analyzed. I slept in a house.
Wow, yes.
Today I'm not seeing what she used to do. And it's only a few persons that have that energy. You get me?
Yeah.
But we move to another angle. We come on, man. Come on.
That's a very important point you made, because There are natural storytellers in the communities now. You go around the rum shops and the guy, you're all in a guy who just he has a way of words and he could give account of things of the past, real stories. You have those natural storytellers there.
And we need that.
Yeah, because what I realized through storytelling again has to be a gift. Because at the tech time, she was the one who went to the village and the communities. I was talking to Livingston Nelson also, and he says, so not every person in the Chris community was storytellers. I'm not a storyteller, but there were some people who were gifted as storytellers because they had this great imagination of telling stories. In the Bible, too, there's a lot of storytelling, excellent storytelling. And as there people only a challenge that people have feel that everything in the Bible is not literal. There were great stories, and even though something was not literal, they had the great truths and the moral, the moral teaching. So I think that's something that we have to work on.
Exactly. So write that down. Make sure you put that down, Urias. We need to talk on that. Yeah.
Yes.
Make sure you put that down. Make sure you put that down. You understand? As I tell you.
Right? Yes. Yeah, and I think because
I just went inside and took some of your pictures,
Oh, I mean, you are brilliant. As we speak about attitude, everything came up there. I was so very, very happy and pleased with that. And what I must say, as you just talk about storytelling, there are a lot of excellent poets, young poets in this. And I see Rose back on there. Rose is such an excellent poet.
Yes.
I see Camille, John, excellent. You have Aquino, and a lot number of young folks who are excellent and coming up with great poetry. And so it's so we can have great storytellers emerging and can have stories. That's maybe as part of the folk festival, that we can have an international storytelling festival, because a lot of people love Grenada. Foreigners love Grenada. They're glad this is a beautiful place and they want to come. So this is something that they can come to every year.
That's fun, and it could happen. So we need to shape the thing properly, because we have the talent. As you say, yes. The guidance is needed, Uncle, and you are grandmaster anything already too. So we had to pass. You had to pass down. Anyway, I ain't saying more. You know what you have to do.
Again, you're really with you. They're gonna go wrong because storytelling is so easy to stage. You can tell it anywhere. You can set up a mic or a shop for everybody, and you could just tell the stories. And yeah. Another thing I would like to say again too is, many years we have not a genuine arts festival, but one thing I would like to see is folk festivals.
Yeah.
Folk singing. And I know what Trinidad they do. They take a lot of the calypsos and they arrange it as folk. And the same thing that we can do. You look at Jamaica, you look at the choir singing competition. I saw a clip recently where this choir, they took a medley of soca and they merged them and they delivered a story performance. These are school children. And this is something I think storytelling and the folk music. And somehow, I don't know, maybe for the 50th anniversary or 1987 when we did struggle, the majority of songs, if not all, were original folk songs that were created. And I think, I would really want to do something called the songs from struggle. The laments, we borrowed from the call and response of the Shotney song, the lament song, there's some of the Shango and the prayer song that was done in Creole. I really want to do that as a historical expose again. There's the songs of that, yeah. Still us play the bass.
Yes, but
we
don't know.
Yeah. But I think that's a great point. Storytelling, great.
Critical.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you come to that aspect of it, make sure you lock it down. Don't forget that, because it's important. As you say, the artists, the creative artists always write the history, but we don't take note of it. You see, and that's where the art get ignored. So I'm throwing that out. The creative, as you said something earlier on, the arts, you can't live without the arts.
Yep,
you understand? Yep. How are you going to survive without it when that is your life? Expression.
I can't do that, because you realize even during COVID, period is a good thing. I had the comedians and the artists, and Steve, what's Steve's name? He has this program there, which is so entertaining. And you looked at the movies, you look at the film, I don't know how it would have survived, how people would have survived, even little gadgets. And you look at the films, it is art. How are you going to survive when because no music on the radio? We take it for granted. The arts, and it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
The food feeds the physical soul, the arts feeds our spirit. Even for the folks who are very religious and spiritual, you can imagine going to church and you know songs.
Just going to there, they don't sing nothing, they don't play nothing.
So, when you read the Bible, also when you go to the Songs of Solomon and the Psalms, there's a lot of poetry there. Even though they're very effective. And then drama was born in the church, in the Middle Ages. In the church, yes.
But that's where it goes right back, yeah.
And that's where I started.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot of work to be done. I think there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of work. And I feel, as I say here, I'm not as energetic as before, Roger. You're much younger than myself, but I just feel the urgency to find a way to start to train and to pass on, as we move forward.
Yeah, let's see what we can do, Uncle Yuri. Let's see, because we don't want to waste this thing. Let's see. I got a lot out of it, and you tell them, I will tell them before the show end. You understand? I will tell them that's not my time yet. That's your time now. But before the show end, I will tell them what you do for me. All right. But listen, I want you to speak, because I want to keep you longer. I want you to speak to the vibe, because all these years you're doing the arts. How come we now seeing the value that we have to invest in the arts? And as a grandmaster in the field for all these years, what went wrong? I mean, I can't let you go without asking you that question. What went wrong? What should be done now?
Well, what I think, again, is go back to our history and to our so-called culturalization, where, because remember, we are still very young nations, and the arts, to me, has always been seen as, you do a little thing here, you do a lot of things there, because you will find that in the past, if you have an activity, or even you want to upgrade a facility, you'll pay the painters, you'll pay the electrician, you'll pay the carpenter. And when you open, you ask, okay, Roger, I want you to come and do a thing for me, come with you for a group, and that is how it was. It was done for fun, and that was the perception. That's how it has been culturalized. Even when I started Christian Dynamic Society, we did it for fun. Never take a stipend, as I always say, and that is how we perceived it. But I believe now, with this new age, where there is a quest and there is a bigger curiosity, and the people can see here that you can earn. Well, I can say I make money and not profits. But at this point in time, where I believe, and especially with vocalists, and even bands, I believe in the late 60s, 70s, you had a wide variety of combos. I think combos, you call a lot of bands. But at this period, I believe it's a watershed where the amount of talent you have in this country, the amount of small bands that you have, and of course with the development of the tourist area, and I know there are people who are doing this full time. So we get 3, 4, 5 gigs in hotels, and it's once a week. We are getting to understand that it is so very important that it can be done as a professional, even not fully as a profession. You can earn money, because even if you have a full-time job and still you come to do a play, for instance, at Labukan, when the young people were saying, we are $50 was the last production, and I said, Mr. Peters is a small venue. People go to shows and they pay $500 for VIP and $800 after if you reach late. The productions that we do is of top class, and Labukan is a small place. You charge $50, you ain't gonna make nothing. $75. I say, no, guys, you go to know people. Me and Susan say $60, and says no, $75. We have bills to pay. there's a cast of 6 or 8. You have state managers, you have and we surrendered, and there it was. So even though it's not mega bucks, but still at the end of the production, when we did the maths, people were able to go home with they were paid, and they have bills to pay, and the time they realized it was not a waste of time, you know. So I think even as at the tourism industry, because I see so many more people are coming to Grenada, and without the arts, your tourism product is not completed. You cannot have a tourism product without arts, you know. So that's what I can say. The only challenge and the sad thing I have, Roger, and I always lament, your capital city, you need a performance center. It always has to be a 1,000 seat, but you need that. And I always lament that after Hurricane Ivan, that Reno cinema stood up. There was a French architect who was here. He knew about theater, and he said because the structure stood up against one of the most powerful hurricanes that hit the region, which says that the structure is firm. Went in there, and he saw the stage. He says, yes, you have to remove some of the seats in the front in order to extend the stage. You have to put a proper backstage. And mezzanine, the upper level can be designed. And he said it would be a perfect space. And I don't understand why the government of that time, who they bought it, I think paid $1.3 million to turn it into a cultural center. None of us as artists were consulted. First thing they did, they put up a sports bar. I mean, you put a sports bar at the top when you drink and you have drunk, or you go walk, you might tumble down. We were never consulted. Then next minute you hear it's a soul, it's in the hand of a private person. Never consulted. Never. People say, well, when I say it's a good spot, and they say, well, no, because there's no parking. I say, well, here you can use the parking facility in the industrial complex. The Grenadian Boulevard, if you park on one side, there's room for vehicles on both sides there. Go to the States, there's no parking close to the theater. So people find ways to make it. And I just think it's an ideal spot close to from St. Paul's, from Grenadian, from Springs. We have lost an opportunity. And one of the things that I lament why we missed an opportunity. Even during the Gary time, when they were developing Cameron Park, and there's a blueprint there, one of the areas that was earmarked or landmarked for theater was where the one who was playing field, you know. That was where the theater was supposed to go. You know, but we never followed up on that. But there is need for a proper space. Now I know there's talk about the Simon Cultural Center. Again, I'm asking how many people have been consulted, those of us in the arts schools today and users. For arts facilities, you have to have people who are trained in arts management. Then again, for equipment that has to be installed. I mean, all these things you have to do the feasibility study and not just have a center just for having a center stay. And one of the things I would personally like to see, the Deluxe Cinema holds 300 people. It is a lovely intimate space with the background, with the backstage being modified, and with the addition, add the theater lighting and the racket. It will be a lovely space for theater. And you will see theaters start flourishing with the additional training. You know, so I really wish, again, one thing that I would want to see, that's where powers that be to Caribbean governments could understand that it is a viable profession. And I will hope that the ministers for culture, maybe I don't know how we're going to start, have a summit where we can have a circuit, a culture circuit. So let's say there's a quality play or a dance or whatever it is from Jamaica, it tours the region, every island you stop. And vice versa, from Trinidad, come up, or one from Grenada. So we make so you have a continuous pool of production coming through. But it has to be so. There has to be the rules and the laws that's going to be where it has to be supported. I don't see why that cannot be done. Why we cannot have a place. I mean, because Oliver acted in The Burial of Miss Fatelin, and the Jamaican audience embraced it. You know, people from all the Caribbean, all walks of life, and even white folks who came to America to see the play, they say, when my mother also died, there was contentions, you know. So I think we have to start seeing this as very important part of our economy, the arts, and in every single phase, whether it was the visual, performing arts, the graphic arts, all those things. And Chris again, Derek, was making a point when we had the conference that well, there's community tourism, but the trails, there's so many important things, I think, that events that happened. The Pedro Rebellion, they'll be there. I think there's even there's a space in Guelph or St. John's where I think one of them, if it was, I don't know if it was a house or a meeting place, it's still there. The trails that leads to there. Why can't we have this, a festival around that time? Around this, the 1795 rebellion. I know Ladig now, they're honoring Malcolm X. Malcolm X, his mother was Grenadian. As a man who was very, very prominent in American politics and the civil rights movement. His mother's Grenadian. Mothers are the first teachers, and I'm sure that there has to be some influence from the mother on him. And what trails are called the series that leads to Ladig, where she was born. When you're doing a tour, let's go there. Because of Maurice Bishop, Eric Matthew Gary. You also have Crafton Maguire, who was my main inspiration as a playwright. He's from River Sally. I think where he lived, there's this land. I think that house was overgrown. Can we have a little museum so where you could develop, where there's a nice little bar and a place where you can sell artifacts and sell CDs, or I mean, there are CDs not that relevant against it, but something when you go to River Sally, where you can have books, storytelling books. Like this guy was an icon, anti-techer storyteller. So where these trails lead, so a lot of things. But what I think is important, Roger, that authorities they listen to us also as creatives, that they listen and they consult. That is where, and as you rightfully say, us as elders, and there's a lot of history I think that we have, we need to be taken into consideration. I've been as history even for the past, we can come into 50 years, celebrating 50 years. Our history and arts is not over the past 10 and 5 years. A lot has happened over that time. We have laid the footprints and let us work on that. But I really wish that we can be consulted and know that we are here to play our part and to play our role.
Yeah, you got that right there, Uncle. You got that right there. You understand? As I say, the conversation continues. Thank you so much. You understand? Yeah. Thank you so much. The conversation continues. But now that you made the call, I hope they understand. All these years of theater, all these years of the arts, all these years of the drama, we have no place fixed to stage our works. That's sad. It's very sad. But as you say, you made the call, so let's have the dialogue. We're gonna have to have some conversation with culture to see where we could go with this. Because it is important. It's very important. Yeah. Very important.
I have also should say on this program first, and that I've also started just the time on the history of Grenadian theatre. I have some information which I did several years ago, and I just think it's time that I had it right, because we didn't start in my era. We didn't start in the Revolutionary era. It had the genesis, during the colonial past, and even in the 40s, and there were groups who were here, prominent businessmen who had Grenadian theatre companies. Heinz School was the place where cultural performances were staged in the past. So I've done some research on that, and I think it's something. Yeah, I didn't do a proposal, I think, to UNESCO for assistance in the doing the publication, but I did not get through. Okay. And writing takes time. Writing takes time.
Go for it. We need it. We need the history.
Yes.
Go for it. We need the history.
What is good here now, because of present day, if I'm writing and reach to that part, the present theatre companies can do their submission. You wouldn't have the history of your journey as your theatre artist and media company here now, because Heritage, they have the history. So it's not a matter where I can actually just write. Let's compile it and let's put it together. We have an anti-tech, the history when she started in the 50s, and how prominent she was when she went to all the highway and the byway. And when the inauguration of the federal parliament in 1958, where the coming of the Caribbean government, regional government, and Grenada was one of the most outstanding performances. The only critique they got was it was too short in terms of Philip. She led the group A, you know. And guys, so we need to get that sort of history of even one of the first formal theater company in the 40s by W. Slinger, who was a businessman. He was the people who owned the tower. The tower now, he was a close relative of Dudley. He was in England, came back as a businessman, but his passion was drama, and he had the theater company, the plays that he used to do, and so all those things, I think, for the 50th anniversary can be highlighted. And here we are now. And I must say that theater, my fear is that if we are not funded and sponsored, because even in the United States and England and those places, theater is funded. In Canada, I know, even for film industry, that if a business organization, let's say, sponsor a film, they get a big tax rebate. So even in America now, you find people are going up to Canada to do films, and the Americans are complaining. But other Broadway shows, they're well patronized. So I see maybe another thing where we can have a discussion with the government, give them good tax breaks to the people who fund a theater or any cultural performance that is going to be written off tax. And then possibly you might see less people going up there to jail, because they have to support and mind the people who are in the prison and all these challenges that we have in society. So even if you go to the mental hospital, a lot of young people are coming on with mental illnesses. So let's use the arts, and we're going to save money. So that's the one thing I really want to see, because it's so challenging to do a play in the region, in Grenada. It's expensive, and if we don't get the
say it louder, please. Say it louder, man. Say it louder.
Yeah. the corporate support,
tell them the pain and suffering.
It is. And Grenada too, Roger, we don't blow our trumpets, but right now, I know even Trinidad, after COVID and with the violence, the arts, plays, theater in particular, I don't think they're regular performance. In OECS, as far as I know, St. Lucia is not very prominent. St. Vincent, Dominica, Antigua, not many plays happening. But I think we have done a lot on our own.
Grenada, yes.
Yes, we have. Look at it. We have 3 productions. This was in September. We had one in October, and one in November.
Mm-hmm.
And Bianchi Toussaint, who I think we have not recorded it, but I will put my neck on the block, that maybe has made a record of the only Grenadian actor, or maybe a Caribbean actor, who has done 3 full-length plays in 3 months. In major roles. That's not an easy thing to do. Remember, he played a prominent role in Fire to Dance.
Mm-hmm. And then he came over, yes.
Came and do Redemption Time, full-length production. Then in November, soon after that, doing a major role in What's Your Verdict? I'm not even sure if anybody on Broadway has done that also, or in the big world. 3 plays in 3 months as a main performer. We still have a lot to celebrate, and with additional support, we can do much, much, much more.
So they need to pump more money into the theater companies and the arts, so that the people go come out and enjoy it. Yeah, it's about time. We need to pump some more money. Just sponsor the company so they could do a show, and the people come out and enjoy. That's why you don't get much people coming out, because they can't afford it. But
exactly.
If you could sponsor it, so the corporate citizen sponsorship businesses step forward, and the government, something could happen, because remember, you just said it. We do it as therapy. We help people.
Yeah.
Not just we don't just do a play. We do a play for reasons beyond just enjoyment. Yeah.
Look at Redemption Time. We sent a proposal. There's only one company that's responded to us, right? 9 miners, to the call, no others. So, and you feel as if sometimes you're begging and you have to genuflect and have to make a cause, and it could be disheartening sometimes. I guess I'm not looking at myself, but I think sometimes it could be very, very disheartening. But we love what we do. We'll continue to do what we're doing until Papa God says, time to come home, bro.
Yes, man. Yes, non-stop. Good. So on that note, although you spoke, but you have to leave your closing remarks, whatever is on your thoughts for maybe your company, your business. You having the final word in terms of closing this conversation for the people listening. But before you go, I see Joan says she never miss a what? I don't think I ever miss any of his production. So I was giving her talk earlier on, and she said she.
Yes.
What?
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you have to brand Joan. The stars had to brand you. Uncle Urias had to do something special for you. Right?
Gotta salute you, girl. Yes. No, Roger, really, I'm not a person who talks for very long, and when I see we started 8 o'clock and how long it's going to go, I was very apprehensive, but I'm happy that there's so much to say, and I'm happy for this opportunity. And again, both of us being a graduate of the same cultural institution, I feel honored. You have gone one step further than me, because for that, from an educational standpoint, I decided now as Dr. Williams, I want to congratulate you, and even the suggestion that you give, we have to call you back soon because we're taking your advice in Abukan for where we're doing have to put the technical boots to lift it. We made that suggestion, so we're going to be doing that soon. So I'm going to come to call you for some advice as to how high should we go. Yes, so I like that. So I'm really, really happy for this opportunity. Always to share, because that's what we are here for, as a playwright, as a director, as a cultural activist. And I will trust that with this, we're celebrating 50 years as a nation. Because we're a fairly young nation, America and those other countries. I mean, they have been a nation for centuries. Made mistakes and still try and make a lot of mistakes. We have made mistakes, and of course continue, but we can learn from the past and build. And I just will trust here that towards that day, that we're going to, as I said before, understand the power of the arts and listen to us and for us to make our input. I'm looking forward, as I said again, to see a new cadre, even of playwrights. Maybe we can have a playwriting workshops. They're willing to share. As I say here, it's a gift, and there are young people out there who will have that gift. It's not always going to have it, and I'm really looking forward and hopeful that we can start grooming a new bunch of playwrights. Because if a playwright dies, who's going to write our history? Who's going to tell our stories? Even people who are in Hollywood and so forth, they start up on the stage. And even what's happening in America right now, lots of plays, they are taking them and transforming them into film. There's a play called Fences. And you can know the style of writing, it's for the stage, but still making that transfer, it's still very, 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 very magical. And we have so many stories to tell as a Caribbean region and as Grenada. Folklore. I know there's one, brothers from Mexico have taken their folklore, and they're now multi-millionaires where they have accentuated and look at that as the movies and whether it's cartoons or so. This is what we can do. And I would really want to see us embracing ourselves, even folk music. I said the folk, I love folk. And I think with Struggle, that was the last, maybe it's 87, the last volume of authentic Canadian folk music that was created. But as I say earlier on, that we can use the calypsos and convert them into folk. But I'm very hopeful. I'm very excited for the future, and I want to thank you very much for this opportunity, Roger, for having me on. And I'm looking forward to future collaborations. Feel free if any time that you want me to have a chat, even with your groupings. I'm free and available for that. And so the future is there for us. And one thing I would say to technical theatre, that's one thing again we have to start focusing on. where if they start training for whether they send them to Trinidad for 3 months or so for training, for the lighting, especially the stage lighting. That's important. But lighting for just a party or for a big show, in fact, is different for lighting a theater. So I think we have to start working on that song design. All this. That's one thing I love. It's designing song. I'm not a musician or a qualified song person, but I know the importance of when I do a play. The song effect and the music acts as a character. How important it is. Those sort of things. The stage management, sets construction. I noticed the last production you did. The interesting part of this song, the stage construction, different levels, and the interest there. That's really a step up. So there's a lot of work to do.
Yes.
But I'm very, very grateful. I look forward to great expectations and urgency to the future, because I just realized here I'm a child of the 50s and I realize time is limited. And that's all I want to do, is to hit the highways and the byways. And let's go how we can. Maybe I'm going to challenge you also too. Maybe the need for a weekly or maybe monthly series that address issues. As it's set in a setting where we address issues, but it's very entertaining. But it's open to all the performers, all actresses and actors. And the script. Maybe it's either a shop or whether it's a crossroad. I mean, talking about the setting where the political meeting takes place and the wayside preacher comes, or whether it's that barkeeper who is the conscience of the society. We guys come and gamble and all the vices come on, but we can deal with them. They can be dealt with. Whether issues, guys, any issue. But because, for instance, one right now, Grenada is in the red for the downtake of childhood vaccines, for polio and measles and all of those, and that's a fallout from COVID, where the vaccine hesitance. But I'm saying here that for people to be educated, you could imagine you have two guys, one saying vaccinate each child, and another one saying why you go vaccinate. And maybe a nurse, Julius, is this pass going back from in the shop and she gets hurt, So you make it funny and entertaining, but you address the issue.
Yes.
In a really positive way. I had a young child, 4 years of age, fell into this system and died, and even more people complain about it. It's just so sad. Should there be a place where? Because I remember somebody said that they reported the incident already, the hazard. Nobody took them on. But we're only waiting in Grenada for things to happen. So maybe all these things could be discussed. Should we have a department where you have a grievance to call in and the person take a note? So let's say weekend, Friday, at whether it's 8 o'clock, I'm sure you will have thousands of Grenadians coming around and tune into that. We deal with the issues. They're very funny. So, videographers an idea, and then so all of it, we can brainstorm.
Yes, good. Guys, you've heard it from the Grandmaster himself. He's done so much for Grenada. He's the icon. So we had to put him someplace. You see where you have the one with Gary. We had to find out. Put one for him now, so he can watch himself before he. You understand? And let us wait for them people to go before they put up thing. Put up one for him. That cultural icon. Not only the Calypsonian, let me hush my mouth. Not only this took at the Calypso artists, you see the creative artists and those in the drama and the performers. Put up something with them now so we could see it, and them tourists come and who is that? Oh, he's still alive, man. I couldn't find him. Could I have a conversation with him, please? Yeah, all of that. Anyway, but Uncle Uri, I didn't know that, I didn't know. I leave that part for last. Uncle Uri is the man that did my audition, You remember that in Spice Basket? I saved that for last.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
It did work out well, huh?
Amen. You understand? So I'm forever grateful. Yes, man. You understand? So, and Jamaica does it like that. When they have a top student in the country, they would call that student to do the audition for them before they accept new students. And so I had to also do that for a student. They wanted to get applied, right? So it's like a chain effect. You understand? It's a chain effect. So
For a Grenadian student, you said you had to do that for a Grenadian
Yeah,
student?
who wanted to go up there, and they did call me to do the audition for that student. You understand? But
that's
finance again, finance
yes.
is the usual problem. Finance.
We need support. Yes.
Yeah.
But that thing that we need to continue support sending our folks to study to qualify. They could also go to I think Barbados also have an institution there, Jamaica, Trinidad. It needs to be
But
funded
okay, we're changing that soon, right here in Grenada. We're changing that.
Yes.
The table has to turn. These countries would have to send their people to Grenada just now.
Yeah.
The table has to turn. I say no. The table has to turn.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes.
Look for it, man. Look for it. The table has to turn. Yeah. You know, so
yeah, because again, even the education system, a child could aspire to be a performer, an artist. This is how you want to be a lawyer, a doctor. You know, my little grandchild told me she wants to be a performer. I mean, looking back at my life, I don't know if there's anything else that I could have done. I mean, it was a hard road. I'm just seeing as a light at the end of the tunnel at this point in time in my life, but that is what I was cut out for. You know, and I don't see myself doing anything more effectively otherwise, apart from doing landscaping. I like to cut bush and would use the weed eater. I like it.
There's value in the arts, sir. There's great value, and we have to share it in the school. There's great value. That's why I say icons like you so need to be visiting the school. Well, if they don't send you, I'll bring you. I go to kidnap you. So, but you need it.
Well, that's what Mr. Crofton Maguire. He came to me as a young man every Friday.
Man.
It was, yes.
Yeah, so look out for the magic. All right.
Thanks again for having me, Roger. Thanks again. And it was a joy and a pleasure for sharing.
All right, it was a pleasure. All right, guys, thank you. We had Uncle Uri with us. Good night, Uncle Uri. All right, guys, that's how it works, you know. But anyway, the man bad like, no, you can't say that. The man bad like, yes, that's what they say. He bad like, yes. And we say, give him what? He flowers. Now he had to get gold and thing before he go. Gold, diamond, and all of that. Anyway, that is the value of the creative arts in Grenada. We have a lot more, you know. You understand? But I know Uncle Yuri make magic over all these years. And he ain't stopped. He's sharing the thing. Now he created all these young ones who doing the same magic. All in Grenada. The time has come where we can lead the way forward in the creative arts. We ain't just talking the arts, you know. We're sharing it. We're empowering people, making sure that this thing happens so that you can find your path and develop your own skills and your career out of the arts. This is not just gimmick and talk thing. We don't talk the arts. You have to do it. You have to perform it. And thank you, Uncle Yuri. Thank you, Grandmaster Yuri. I had to call him. That's his name now, Grandmaster. You know, like them Chinese, and then when you go by them, Uncle Yuri, when you go there, you go for inspiration, ideas. Anyway, I talk too much, boy. I go and thank you guys for staying around with us. That's how we do it here. And check out La Bucan. This is La Bucan Creative Center. You understand? When you go there, you have a lady, I think she hair kind of white now, I read. What color she hair is, boy? She and him, they could talk. Boy, these two people could talk. When you go by them in story, you get a story from now till... That is two bad storytellers. When I tell you they could tell a story. And if all you want to hear a story, go watch Redemption. I feel like he had the lady love story, but watch, she give real trouble in that time. Anyway, that's not my business. Go and watch the play. He said he coming in January. I done. Good night, guys. All you. It was a pleasure. Uncle Louis was here, Frenchie was here. Bye.
Here were for parents, Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped. It was singing and it was dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people.
Jokers and fight, I smile, everything is alright. I say, thanks for life, Almighty God. Thanks for life. Your hands I submit my.
Here were for parents, Caribbean people, two things that the master could not have stopped. It was singing and it was dancing. And that is why song and dance is still one of the most powerful expressions of our Caribbean people.
Jokers and fight.
school doesn't teach you about learning how to survive. And that is something that I think I needed, especially as a teenager. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just going, just doing things. Even as a young adult, I had no idea what I was doing. Just living. I would say sometimes recklessly, just don't care. And you know, school just teaches you books, and you get your CXC subjects, and you graduate and you get a good job. But you're on the job, it's a good job, you're well paid, but you're unhappy. And I just wanted to be happy eventually. I was tired of being sad, I was tired of being angry, I was tired of being confused, I was tired of being lost. I just wanted to be happy, and I didn't know how to make myself happy until I went through the process of drama therapy. I had no idea of how to make myself happy. I thought that, you know, certain things, I'll buy certain things and I'll feel good, and then the next day it's like there's something missing.